Smart led us off today, Diesel. SEC Media Days round numero dos, round 2, day 2 in Tampa, Florida. Welcome into Wire to Wire. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. Our SEC Media Days coverage continues. It's hot, it's heavy, and it began with Kirby Smart and Diesel. Kirby Smart is already in the news today on the likes of the Paul Feinbaum show, as pundits are asking if Kirby Smart is relevant as he used to be when it comes to college football. Ooh. It's definitely talking season, isn't it?
How about that? As a guy that's won multiple national championships or won a national championship in the last 10 years, is he still relevant?
Is he still as relevant? Is
Paul Feinbaum still relevant with DA questions like that?
These kind of, like, you just flip on the TV, like we have the TV on here in our studio, and you get these kind of questions, and you think, man, what are these? I mean, they will debate anything, which I love, which is fun to debate. But my gosh, like Kirby Smart, I know he didn't win last year, and I know he didn't win the year before that or the year before that, as the Big Ten's been on their run, their tear. But, I mean, if you and I go through the list of SEC coaches, who out there ranks anybody ahead of Kirby Smart? I mean, there might be a conversation for one or two guys, but doesn't it feel like we still kind of have to have him at or near the top?
Kirby Smart is, without a question, Cole, inside, I think very safely inside the top 2 most relevant coaches in college football. It's Kirby Smart and Ryan Day.
I'd say top 3 for sure.
Yeah.
Top 3 for sure.
Yeah. He's 100% in if you go top 3. He's more than 100% in if you go top 5.
And again,
it's ridiculous.
People
to
say,
have this argument.
oh, well, he hadn't won a championship in the last few years, right?
Oh, my God.
And I guess this is the culture problem we have, though. We talked about this a few weeks ago with NFL quarterbacks. If you haven't won a championship or you don't have that ring, you're not relevant. Like, you're not any good. That's where we are.
I think it's that Paul Feinbaum has a culture problem, Cole, because have you ever read his mentions of people saying, Paul, you're an idiot. Yeah. Paul, you're just a blowhard. Paul, you only say things to incite people. Paul, you make the most ridiculous arguments. Paul, you should, walk into oncoming traffic. All these types of things they say to Paul Feinbaum, but it does not slow him down one bit.
He's a lightning rod.
Yes, he is.
He is a lightning rod. So with
it's a
Georgia,
funny way to say idiot.
Yeah, it is. It's a more respectful way to say it, Diesel. With the Georgia Bulldogs, Phil Steele has them predicted to finish number 1. We're going to hear audio from Kirby Smart here in a second. But the Bulldogs came up short, Diesel, in their quest for a three-peat in 2023. Obviously, they got upset in the SEC title game. They do have some challenges this season. They returned 13 starters. Homegrown team, great recruiting class, great retention, all these things that, it doesn't surprise you. That's Kirby Smart. They do face Bama and Ole Miss on the road, which is going to be interesting this year. And it should. Georgia has a chance to make their 6th straight SEC title game with a shot at their 4th title in 6 years. So while Kirby Smart may not be winning national championships, it's definitely relevant when you're winning your conference, even though the SEC hadn't won a national championship in the past 3 years. I think it's safe to say that there are a lot of good coaches in the SEC, but Kirby Smart's got to be in a class of his own in many, many ways. No disrespect to other coaches, but I just think that Kirby's that mainstay. Kirby's the mainstay in the SEC that year in and year out, they're going to be a couple of plays away from being in a national championship game, playoff.
Yeah. I mean, the level of consistency is extremely commendable. 12-2. If 12-2 is a failure of a season, Cole, that makes you not relevant to college football, I don't know who is relevant.
Sign me up.
I don't know who is relevant.
Sign me up. Let's hear what Kirby had to say. We're going to talk about the other teams that are in attendance today as well. Kirby Smart, Alex Golish, the new guy, Clark Lee, and who's speaking right now? Shane freaking Beamer. He's speaking as we speak, and we'll get to some of that Beamer audio as well in this very segment. But Kirby Smart, man, I think that when Kirby Smart speaks, Diesel, a lot of people will listen. Let's hear what Kirby said. We'll listen and react.
Greg, I appreciate that warm introduction, and so proud of both my young children getting ready to head off to college. That'll be a new experience for me that I am looking forward to. I can't say that my wife, Mary Beth, is. She's very concerned about emptying that nest a little bit with 2 leaving. But I'm excited to have one in Athens and then one in Chapel Hill. So I'm proud of both of those young ones.
Think of the tuition.
About Greg Sankey, I want to say a couple comments about him first and foremost.
Here we go.
I think I've talked before in this setting about the cost of leadership and shared that with many people a couple years ago. I think nobody embodies that any better in this country in terms of college athletics than Greg Sankey. I think in terms of leadership, the role he's taken on for our conference is incredible. He takes sometimes bullets he doesn't deserve. He stands in front of a challenging group between presidents, ADs, and other administrators and football coaches and basketball coaches, and in a changing landscape, and does an incredible job of holding down the fort, keeping people combined, and has to make really tough decisions for all of us. And we know there's costs with that. I'd like to thank you guys. Thank you for the job you do. And an incredible, you guys make this the best conference in the country, probably in the world, when you talk about competitiveness and how our conference is strengthened, and really across all sports. I don't want to isolate that just to football, but the coverage that this room gives our conference makes it really uncomparable to others, and you guys do an incredible job for us. I'm actually excited to be in Tampa. I don't know how everybody else feels about that. I get all these texts from different coaches, but I'm excited to be in Tampa. My mom is from Plant City. I spent my summers in Plant City. If you don't know where that is, it's right down the road. I got to go to Reds spring training, watch Pete Rose when I was a little kid, and see the Reds in spring training. Also go to the Strawberry Festival. So if you don't know, you don't know. And if you know, you do know. The Strawberry Festival is special. And I grew up coming down here for probably 2 weeks out of the summer, and some of the best memories of my childhood are right outside Tampa. I'm so excited for that.
If you do know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know.
Our administration. I know everybody brags on their administration, but mine has been completely aligned for quite a long time.
I'm going to fast forward a little bit.
If that's okay, Kirby. Yeah, notice he didn't call Greg Sankey the most electrifying commissioner in college football.
No, he did not.
Maybe the cost of leadership is a personality. Because as we heard the audio yesterday, Greg Sankey doesn't seem to have much of one. He's boring, he's dull, he talks slow, and he puts you to sleep. Maybe that's the cost of leadership that Kirby Smart is talking about.
And all these coaches, they have, 2 or 3 minutes of just bam, 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 bam.
Yeah.
So I fast forwarded a little bit here.
For a while now. So she's a veteran star, and she's senior deputy director, athletic director within our department. She does an incredible job for me. She's there for me during tough times and good times, and really proud of the work she does. So our administration is second to none. The other thing I want to talk about real quick is our staff.
Here we go.
Not enough is made about the University of Georgia staff. When people talk about roster retention, I like to talk about staff retention. We have been blessed to retain our staff and stay intact almost completely for 3 to 4 years now. I think that matters. I think the growth, the biggest challenge you have when you retain not only your roster, but your staff, is you have to be willing to grow. You have to be willing to experiment, try new things. You can't sit back and just be the same old thing and do the same old things and expect to get the same return.
Real quick, by the way, Diesel, Kirby Smart, the head coach, Kurt Benedict, special teams, Mike Bobo. You remember that name, don't you? Mike Bobo's son also.
He's like a Johnny Cash song. He's been everywhere.
He has. Mike Bobo's son, quarterback Jake Bobo, 6 foot, 200 pounds, also on the roster. He's a sophomore. You've got Mike Bobo as the quarterback's coach, so he's coaching his son, and also Gunnar Stockton. Let's see, James Coley, wide receiver, Josh Crawford, running backs. Let's get to defensive coordinator. Co-defensive coordinator is Travis Robinson, obviously, you don't see Will Muschamp on this roster. I know he was a part of the staff a few years ago. And offensive coordinator Mike Bobo Diesel, he's been there for a few years now. And Kirby talking about that consistency.
My job as the leader of this organization is to challenge our staff to make sure we're thinking outside the box, make sure we're exploring other alternatives. And I've got a staff that has been just incredible. We got 3 or 4 guys that have been with me for 9 to 11 years. And those guys are the rock and glue that makes our place go. And I support the support our administration gives us to keep them and retain them, because a lot of our guys have had opportunities to go on to other jobs, maybe pro NFL opportunities, and they've chosen to stay at the University of Georgia. That's because of the support we get. It's because of the school systems in our community and the way you can raise a family in our family environment. So I'm proud of that. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about our 3 players here. And one's a returner. It's very rare you get a second SEC Media Days. Gunnar Stockton is doing that. He embodies what leadership is, and he doesn't do it through his mouth. We can't get the guy to talk half the time. But when he gets around the players, they know. They see the toughness he plays with. He embodies our program. Just love everything he stands for. Quick story about Gunnar. We took a leadership group to go whitewater rafting.
Where do you think Gunnar Stockton ranks as I pull Kirby down? I mean, like, the SEC, and we'll talk to Jack Veltri about this coming up in a little bit as well. But, you've got some really good quarterbacks, Diesel. You've also got some new faces like in Alabama. And then you've got, like, let's say, returners off the top of my head, just Manning at Texas, Mateer, right, at Oklahoma, Chambliss at Ole Miss, Lenoris Sellers at South Carolina, Sam Levitt at
Marcel
LSU.
Reed's been around Texas A&M, right?
He has been. So you've got the SEC, you've got some dudes who are new, but you've also got some guys coming in.
Lenoris,
who, like I say, have a lot of experience. Gunnar Stockton, is it just me, or does this, how do I say this? Georgia feels like every year they have a quarterback that's comparable and capable of making all the right plays and reads and throws. I can't recall the last time in the last few years I've watched the Georgia quarterback just be like a transcendent difference maker. That's no disrespect to any of their past quarterbacks, but it feels like Diesel, and maybe this is that Saban coaching tree, it feels like Smart takes the same approach to quarterback that Nick Saban took for so long in Alabama, right? You have that guy who's good enough to get the job done. They look for traits in a quarterback that they feel like can lead their program. He's not a Deshaun Watson. He's not a Johnny Manziel. Good enough to do the job. I don't know what to make of Gunnar Stockton, but I think that experience factor definitely coming back for Georgia this year has got to matter.
How many of the 5 quarterbacks that won national championships with Nick Saban in Alabama ended up having championship-level careers in the NFL?
I'd say
Greg
0.
McElroy, A.J. McCarron, Jake Coker, Tua, and Mac Jones.
Okay, Tua and Mac have had NFL careers.
Tua's really the only one that's had a memorable NFL career, even though it hasn't turned into success on the field. Does he remember his NFL career?
That's what I was going to say.
How many hits to the head as he's taken?
That's the more important question is if he remembers it or not. I don't know. I think Gunnar Stockton has upside, and I'm not saying that he's not good enough to lead this team. I think Georgia's good year in and year out because of what they have around Gunnar Stockton, because they have difference makers. They have dudes.
It's like the opposite of a Tom Brady offense, right? Tom's good enough to make less than stellar wide receivers around him look amazing. So with Alabama and Georgia, you get stellar wide receivers that make a pretty good quarterback look amazing. And that's always been how they do things at Georgia.
Gunnar Stockton, by the way, last year, 14 games, 2,894 yards, 24 touchdowns, 5 picks. Pretty good. 150.6 passer rating. Not much of a ground guy, but 462 yards and 7 touchdowns. Like, that's dynamic enough to keep offenses or defenses honest,
Do you need to be a ground guy in the NFL if you're a quarterback? Like, I don't want my quarterback scrambling. I don't want my quarterback getting absolutely pounded. And we're going to talk about, Lenoris Sellers here in a little bit and the number of hits that he took. I saw them talking about a stat. He was sacked every 11 dropbacks last year for the South Carolina Gamecocks. Absurd numbers. And these are absolute grizzly bears coming at him in the SEC. I don't want my quarterback running the ball.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Obviously, it all depends on the offense, right, and what they're doing, what the scheme is. Of the teams that were in attendance today, Diesel, you had Georgia. We talked about the Georgia Bulldogs a little bit there with Kirby Smart. You had Alex Golesh, who I think is really interesting. We'll get some more audio of him later in the show. Vandy Clark-Lee, and then Shane Beamer, who spoke earlier today. The 4 teams in attendance in Tampa, Florida today. Diesel and the Tolos out there. I'm going to give you the floor first here. You are intrigued most in 2026 by one of the 4 teams. One of the 4 teams. Which team are you intrigued by the most of the 4 that were in attendance today? Georgia, Auburn, Vandy, South Carolina.
I am intrigued. Georgia's not going to surprise a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're great. They're going to be great.
Right.
So it's not a shock. South Carolina's still a big question mark, right? I think they got worlds better on the offensive line, but can they keep Lenora Sellers upright? And if they can't, oh boy, talk about a wasted opportunity. Maybe the best quarterback you've had physically, at least, on your roster in a long time, may have for another long time after that. Most intriguing to me, I think, is Auburn.
I think so too.
Can Alex Golesh do something with Auburn that 4 coaches in a row have not been able to do?
And you know what? That's where I was going. That's my answer. And Auburn might not be great this year, but I think they're more intriguing. South Carolina is definitely intriguing from a local standpoint, duh, right? But when you look at Alex Golesh, man, to your point there about the past coaches, we kind of act like we kind of forget that Auburn, like their fans expect them to be in the hunt, in the mix, in the playoff, and they hadn't been in a long time. And I think that when you have Alex Golesh come in, a guy who some people were high on, some kind of thought, ho-hum, we'll see what happens. Right. I just think that overall, what Alex Golesh does in year 1 to 3, I mean, I think it's going to tell us how hard, we all know how hard it is to win in this conference. Phil still says they have the 35th most difficult schedule, and Alex Golesh's first year. I think it's a good hire, Diesel, but ultimately, can Alex Golesh get the quarterback? Can he recruit quarterbacks to Auburn? They hadn't hit on quarterbacks lately.
There is a chance, Cole, that going into week number 5 on the road at Tennessee, this Auburn team could be 4-0. They play Baylor, right? I mean, and if you
that's that big
if you believe
Chick-fil-A.
that's the Chick-fil-A kickoff game.
Yeah.
If you believe that the middle of the road SEC is better than the middle of the road other conferences, then you have to believe out of the gate that Auburn wins this football game. I don't know if they do or not.
Right.
Southern Miss, they'll win. Florida. Now that's a fun one because that's the two of the brand new head coaches in this conference, Alex Golesh, John Summerall, who has something for real. I mean, John Summerall's got a sophomore and Aaron Philo playing for him. And Byron Brown is a senior playing for Auburn. You got to think maybe a little bit of a quarterback edge there. And then Vanderbilt without Diego Pavia, we don't know what Clark-Lee is going to have this year. I think there's a chance 3-1. I think there's a real good chance they're 3-1. I mean, I think they probably split Baylor, Florida. Don't know which one they win, which one they lose. But I think there's a very good chance that they're 3-1 going into that Tennessee game. And then what if they pick off the Vols on the road? And we were talking yesterday about Josh Heupel and his job security or not. What if Josh Heupel in year number 5, number 6? If he is
it 6?
He's in 6. Year number 6. If they lose to an upstart Auburn with a brand new head coach at home that week, oh my.
Yeah, what does concern me on Alex Golesh, Diesel, this year is Auburn lost a significant amount of production from last year's team, especially on defense. Golesh brought in a very large transfer portal class, including several former USF players who know a system. So I think there's some positive there. The offense is expected to improve immediately. Golesh likes that up-tempo scheme, and what their quarterback's going to be, you said Byron Brown is the guy. Byron Brown, the senior. So a little bit experience there. And Golesh is a good offensively, he's an innovative guy, good play caller. I think the portal additions that fit his system are going to be important. What he brought in, they've got to have better quarterback play, and Auburn's got to have more explosiveness. They hadn't had that. I think the concerns are the depth across the roster. You replace some defensive talent. Their defense wasn't terrible at times last year, and then you survive one of the most difficult schedules in the SEC. They won what? One SEC game last year.
It's tough.
One.
That's tough. They bring back exactly one offensive guy that was on this team last year. That's not good. That is not
Doesn't
good.
it just make you think like that guy in year one, it's going to be an uphill climb.
But the surprise, I mean, I look at this wide receiver core for them. Chaz Nimrod is 6'2". They got Jeremiah Coger. He's 6'3". Kayshawn Singleton Jr. He's 6'3". These are some big dudes. These are like 215-pound wide receivers at their size. I mean, that's a go up and get it kind of wide receiver room. And I think it could be a lot of fun. I don't know if they'll be able to pass inside. I mean, they may be, if the scheme is set for them to throw the ball to the tight end quite a bit, to get the running back involved in the passing game, maybe something really interesting could happen with this team. But
they have, to your point, they have Baylor and Atlanta. Florida's going to be a big game that third week. And then you mentioned that at Tennessee. It gets pretty tough after that, though. The bye, they're at Georgia, LSU, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Mississippi State, Samford, manageable, but then you're at Alabama. So can they improve? Let's play this game. Can they improve their conference record? They went 1-7.
Okay.
I think they can.
Florida, Vandy.
I think Florida's going to be tough for Auburn. If I had to pick today, I'd pick Florida. If I pick today.
It is a home game, though. It's on the Plains.
Yeah. Again, if I picked today, I'd pick Florida.
Yeah.
Vandy, I'll give Auburn a chance in that one. But they've lost 4 of the last 6 against Vandy. Auburn has. Like, what confidence does that give you?
Yeah. But that was all under a different regime, right? I mean, things have changed.
I don't think they're beating Tennessee. They're not beating Georgia, not beating LSU, not beating Ole Miss. So maybe Arkansas,
Mississippi State. I see at least three conference wins there.
Arkansas, Mississippi State, and who was your other one? Maybe Vandy. Yeah,
I'll give him Vandy.
So at best 3 or 4 wins in the conference. You think ceiling?
Hey, you go from 1-5. 1-7 to 3-5.
Yeah, and he's got 3 out of conference games. Golish does. Baylor, Southern Miss, Samford. If you can win 3 of those, there's 3 of your wins, and you only had 2 more to get to last year's record, right? Yeah. So I mean, I could see them winning. I think like if they could somehow win 7 games with that talent and what they lost on defense, I think if they won 7, it'd be a massive jump.
I still think Auburn probably could have done better than Alex Golish. I don't hate the hire. I think he was a name that was going to get picked somewhere. I mean, I would have expected Alex Golish to go somewhere in the ACC rather than jump from USF straight to the SEC, but we'll see. I mean, this is a sink or swim kind of year for Alex Golish. I mean, he's going to be drinking out of a fire hose.
It's going to be tough.
It's going to be a tough year for them. First half could make you feel really good about yourself. The back half of the season, things get tough for the Auburn Tigers. But that's what makes them so fascinating. Yeah. What if this ragtag collection of transfers could shock some people? Speaking of shocking, Cole, I am not shocked at all that this conversation keeps coming up. It feels like we've been talking about this every year for the past 5 years. The big old B word when it comes to the SEC, breakaway. This has been a huge topic of conversation, and I want to hear from you Gamecock fans. I know we got Georgia Bulldog fans in the audience. I even know for a matter of fact that we have some Auburn fans in the audience. Your thoughts, your feelings on your conference potentially breaking away to do their own thing, and what do you think it could and should look like? We'll talk about that next. It's interesting, Cole, that the SEC seems hell-bent on isolating themselves on an island in the middle of the ocean of college football. This notion gets surfaced out there, gets spread out there every couple of months that the SEC is thinking about doing their own thing because, well, the NCAA just can't give them any real actual rules, any real actual enforcement power. And we'll see. We'll see if this is the year that Greg Sankey blanks or gets off the pot because, by God, I'm tired of hearing from him about it. You know, it's the boy who cried wolf. And if Greg Sanctimony doesn't just go ahead and do it, then stop talking about it, Greg, because we don't believe you. I don't believe for a second that the SEC has any real intention of breaking away. This is a massive game of chicken where it's how can we affect the rules of currently the Protect College Sports Act or the SCORE Act or whatever legislation may be coming in the future of college football. How can we affect it and get the concessions that we want that help us out the most? Or we're gonna take our football, we're gonna go play somewhere else.
Yeah, and I hate to break it to you, I don't think Diesel, he's going to stop talking about it anytime soon.
I doubt it.
Number one. Number two, he's smart enough to know that he needs ammunition, right? And like I'm in your boat, I'm in your camp. I wish we could quit talking about it, but I don't expect him to. And somehow, some way, we don't know all the details. I think he's using it for a reason. I think he's bringing it up for a reason. I think there's leverage there.
Do you think that he's really willing to throw away the 112 matchups of South Carolina Clemson or the 69 matchups of Florida State or the 119 matchups of Georgia Tech or the 122 matchups of Missouri Kansas or the 119 matchups of Oklahoma State? I mean, thinking about those, you add in Kentucky and Louisville, you're talking about 578 all-time matchups between schools, and not all of them were in the SEC at the time, obviously thinking about Oklahoma and Missouri. Not all of them have been in this conference the whole time when all those matchups were played, Cole. But these are matchups that are deeply rooted in the states of South Carolina, Florida, Kentucky, Georgia, Oklahoma. These matchups matter to people. And the will or the goodwill of the entire populace in the college football world saying Greg Sanctimony is going to take that away from us just so what? You get to select the rules?
Yeah.
I think it's going to blow up in his face.
Well, you know, I would hope, and I think college football fans would hope, and we'll get to you in just a second, Dewey. I would hope that people, or I would hope rather, Diesel, that
sorry about that.
That Greg Sankey cares about what we want, right? When you talk about all those matchups, and I agree with you, I don't want him to go away either, but I hope Greg Sankey cares. Does he care? I think that's the question.
But he told us yesterday that he gets all these emails from student athletes that they all say they just want to be able to play on a level playing field across the sport, so that if I'm playing in the state of Mississippi, I'm playing by the same rules that a kid that's playing in the state of California is playing by. Yes, what the student athlete thinks matters. Do I believe that he's getting these emails from student athletes? No, I don't. Maybe he got one, or maybe he talked to
his secretary for them one.
Maybe he talked to one student athlete at one school and said, okay, that's how they all feel. But at some point, Cole, what the fan wants and how the fan feels about it has to matter, because it clearly doesn't matter to those in power in the SEC.
And we talked about it last week with Rich Clark and a couple other guys at ACC Media Day. I hate to say this, and this is going to sound very depressing and Debbie Downer. I don't think we'll ever get to a point in college sports where those in charge care about what the fan wants. I just don't. Because if they did, Diesel, we would still have a lot of these non-conference matchups you talk about. We've already lost some. And do I think they care about losing more? I really don't think they care. I think at the end of the day, these people in power, the commissioners across the league, I think they care about what makes their conference better. And if it's willing to make their conference better and make more money, I think they're not all of them. I think there are a lot of them that are willing to do whatever it takes at all cost. And if that means cutting non-conference or, increasing the amount of conference games or breaking away, I just like these guys. It feels like they are in their world and what they see, and they don't really care about anything else. I know that sounds ultra depressing, but it's just the way I feel about it.
Well, there's a very common three-word phrase for that. It's taking for granted. Greg Sankey takes you, Carolina and Georgia fans and Florida fans He takes you all for granted. He assumes, I think Greg Sankey assumes that you're all stupid. Mm-hmm. Greg Sankey assumes that he can say anything he wants, do anything he wants, greatly affect your college football schedule and the teams that you have deep-seated rivalries with, and say, well, you guys will watch no matter what. Like, he's saying, South Carolina fans, we could take away your Clemson game and make you play Missouri more, or make you play Oklahoma more, and you'll watch it. And unfortunately, he's probably right, because as many times as it feels like we've had so many seismic shifts in this game over the past 10 years or so, the ratings just keep going up. So a lot of fans are complaining about things they don't like, but they're watching more and more and more anyway.
I think there's two different generations of fans too. I think there's a lot of people who grew up with the sport, that care about those old traditions and old rivalries. And I do as well. Like I kind of see myself in both buckets. And I think there's this new fan, this new college football fan, Diesel, that's attending these games, that are paying tuition to these schools and colleges. I don't know that they care. True. I mean, they want to beat Clemson. You know what I mean? But even the players, like even when Clemson and Carolina play, and I hate to continue to go down this depressing road, but even when they play today, this year, the day after Thanksgiving, the Saturday, it doesn't mean as much to the players in that game as it did 15 years. It just don't,
I agree.
They're friends. They're buddies. They like each other.
That's the LeBron effect. See, that's LeBron ruining yet another sport.
Let's
make sure we're all buddies.
LeBron's fault.
We can meet at midfield, and we can trade jerseys. And I'm a Clemson player, but I've got a Gamecock jersey hanging up in my dorm room because my high school buddy plays for him.
That's a culture issue. And look, I don't want to ever get away from being kind to people, but at the same time, I wish it meant more in scenarios like that.
Speaking of culture issues, let's go to Dewey on the phone line. Dewey, should the SEC break away? I know you're a Gamecock fan, at least I think. How would you feel if Greg Sankey said, sorry, Dewey, you don't get to watch your Gamecocks play the Tigers anymore?
Well, that would be a travesty, first of all. That Greg Sankey person, he needs to be fired. He sucks as a commissioner. He don't know what he's talking about. He's lying. No one's emailing him. I don't email him. No one's emailing him.
Do you have email?
I don't even know what email is. I'm like, why they call it email? Why can't it be called C-mail or J-mail or something? Anyways. I'm confused. Anyways, I tell you what, as much the Carolina Clemson game, for example, has been around for 6,000 years, and I swear if they take it away, no Gamecock fans going to watch Gamecocks anymore, because that's all the Gamecock fans care about is Carolina Clemson.
So their Super Bowl is what you're saying?
Basically, yes. And as much as I hate it, it's not going nowhere. And Greg Sankey, he could try to take it away, but it'll be a revolt.
I want to agree with you, Dewey, but I think people would still show up. If the last game was against Missouri, I think they'd still show up.
But no one cares about Missouri. Missouri sucks.
Plus, Eli Drinkwitz owns South Carolina in Columbia.
Both Columbia.
Well, he does, but
for example, you have on average between 13,000 and 14,500 University of South Carolina students that attend home football games on average. You think that those 13,000 that are enrolled there who love to drink and party and be a part of the game, if they kill Clemson, if they were to just axe it completely, they're not going to show up to the last. No, they're going to all be there. They're all going to be. There might be 4 of them that don't show up and go deer hunting instead, but they're going to be there. I mean, these kids are 18 years old. They want to beat Clemson, but it just doesn't mean the same. And I hate to say that, but rivalries do not mean the same, Diesel, to the younger generation. It doesn't feel like as they do to us. I would be heartbroken if Clemson and South Carolina quit playing.
Dewey, off the topic of college football, who is your biggest rival?
Tom.
Tom.
Why? What'd Tom ever do to you?
No, Tom. Rick and Greer.
There you go.
No, you can't say that about Rick and Greer. He bought us donuts yesterday.
He did.
Oh, they probably went and had to go poof him out or something. He had that diarrhea. But I agree with Cole, and I don't want to. But the problem is the fan base. The fan base will go and see the Gamecocks play, whether they're 0-12 or 12-0 playing Clemson 12 times a year or no times a year, because the fan base sucks too. So I hold them responsible for all this nonsense. As far as the SEC is concerned, what's splitting them apart ain't going to solve no problems. Be on an even playing field. You will get better. That's how you get on an even playing field. There's no such thing as an even playing field. Throw some. Oh.
Ooh, thanks, Dewey. Ooh. How about this, Cole? You lose or you don't win 3 national championships in a row, and all of a sudden you say, I don't want to play in this league anymore. I don't want to play. I don't want to play with those guys anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, how Charmin soft is that?
Let me tell you what I believe.
To say we got to form our own national championship so that we always win.
I don't know. I'm just telling you what I believe. I don't believe he means that. I don't believe Greg Sankey means
That's
it.
why I'm saying stop saying it if you're Greg Sankey.
Again, without knowing all the details, to me it sounds like he's using it for some reason.
Blowing smoke.
For whatever reason, he's using it, whether it's leverage or this or that, or I don't know why he would just be pointlessly bringing it up time after time. It baffles me.
I think he's just trying to play chicken with the Protect College Sports Act to make sure he gets what he wants. Let's hear. We're not going to play the whole thing, Cole, here, because it's about 3 minutes long. But this is Pete Thamel of ESPN, who, by the way, RIP to all the ESPN personalities that got fired today. But here's Pete Thamel talking about the potential breakaway. It's about 2.5 minutes long. Don't need to play the whole thing, but here's Pete.
The complications of the Leave the Union path, we could do like a 5-part miniseries on.
He was on with Rich Eisen, by the way.
Yeah. But I am just saying, boy, there's a lot of it. So I do think that in this moment, as the Big Ten and the SEC are essentially negotiating with Congress to try to get this bill to be less prohibitive to them and less headwinds to them, I do think reminding people of that, what the SEC can do and the power of the SEC isn't like an unwise thing for Greg Sankey to do. So while that road could be, tilled someday, I don't think that is an imminent option, like the take our ball and go home option.
So think about, Cole, all the coaches who were complaining when they had to, or they were talking about increasing from 8 to 9. Think about, I'm trying to remember exactly who it was. I think Kirby Smart might have had something to say about it. I'm sure a lot of them did, right? Now you're going from 9 to 12, and you're only playing teams inside the SEC. Because remember, when this whole Brandon Sorsby thing went down a couple of weeks ago, how fast, the breakneck speed at which every other conference came out against Texas Tech and said, we're not going to schedule you at anything. Mm-hmm. Do we believe that the ACC, that the Big Ten, that the Big 12, and all of the collection of the G6 schools would say, we're not going to play you at all? I mean, would they have to go to a 12-game SEC schedule where South Carolina, you're not getting the Towsons and the Kent States and the Toledos of the world in your schedule anymore? I mean, in theory, it makes it more fun to say this year, let's see, South Carolina doesn't play, for example, pick one, whatever, whoever they don't play. Now those 2 schools are going on your schedule. Clemson's coming off, so a third SEC school that's not on your schedule is coming on. I know it sounds like fun, but the coaches are really, I'm sure, against this, because now it's beating up your players a lot more because they don't get to rest starters against Kent State and Towson.
On the Joy Law Firm text line, texter from the 978 says, Greg Sankey needs to touch some grass. Yesterday, he told Sports Radio Mississippi that we all live in glass houses when asked about the Clemson-Ole Miss tampering. What a moron. And again, to your point there, RJ on the text line, I think so much of it has to do with Greg Sankey and these people who we talked to last week at ACC Media Days, the Rich Clarks, the David Epps, Peach Bowl CEO, and all these guys. They are in their own world, and they very rarely step out of that world. They step out of it when they talk to us and when they, hear from different people, and they're on vacation. They run into a fat guy at the ice cream bar, but they very rarely step out of that world. And their world is their world, whether it's make believe and whether Greg Sankey means all this or not, it is their world and it's their bubble, and that's where they live. And I agree with you, RJ. I mean, a lot of the things he says, I'm with you. It's just, I don't know that they have the capability of taking the blinders off fully. It's kind of like Dewey. Is it even real to begin with? The conversation about breaking away. Is it real? Is Dewey real? We don't know. Yeah. But we'll continue to have the conversation. Texter also from the 960 gets in and says, what segment y'all going to get the Beamer SEC Day? Very next segment, Texter. When we come back, what Beamer said, he spoke about 43 minutes ago. Gamecock fans, what your coach had to say at SEC Media Days. Also, maybe a little Lenora Sellers. That's next. Little press conference live from Tampa, Florida. Not live, but just a few minutes ago from Shane Beamer. Let's get to some audio from that. Also, Tolo's a very heavy SEC Media Days coming up. Diesel mentioned those ESPN layoffs, that kind of stuff. We'll try to get to that maybe if we have time in the 4 o'clock hour. We're going to be joined by Zac Blackerby. He covers Auburn and other SEC schools. He's live at SEC Media Days. He'll join us at 4:22. We also have Jack Veltri, Gamecock Central, joining us live from Tampa, SEC Media Days at 5:22. So we are not there in person, Diesel, but we're trying our best to sound like it and talk to those who are boots on the ground in Tampa. I kind of wish I was there. I like Florida a lot. A little bit jealous today.
Tampa's a fun city.
Man,
I've been to Tampa a couple times.
Beach,
it's great.
Beach.
White sandy shores.
Oh, man. All right, let's get to Shane Beamer, a little Q&A. This was in the small room where they do the Q&A, and here we go. Here's Shane Beamer.
Hey, Shane. Rick Henry, WSTV, Columbia, South Carolina. I know your son, Hunter, is probably one of your strongest critics. Before you leave to come to SEC Media Days, does he give you any advice on what to say and what not to say?
No, thanks for the question, Rick. He was actually very positive today. he had some friends over to the house this morning when I left. He just came in there and told me that I would do great and he would be watching. So that's probably the most supportive thing he's told me. He's had some pretty hardcore cut right to the chase comments this summer, talking about the upcoming season and last season as well. But today I was proud of him, and he was certainly very supportive.
Third row on the left and then pass it over your shoulder. Go ahead.
Hey, Coach, Cameron Lejeune, WAKA out of Montgomery, Alabama. Can you just talk a little bit about what position group you're most excited about going into fall camp and why?
I think there's a lot of positions. I know that's coach speak, but I really, feel that way. There's a lot of positions that I'm excited about. Probably for me, not necessarily because I'm more excited about this position than another position, but the receiver position, just because of the amount of competition we have in that room. Last year at SEC Media Day, I'm sure I was asked or I talked about the receiver room because we had, guys like Nicholas Harbor and Mazio Bennett returning, but we had just signed whatever it was 5 or 6 high school freshmen that were joining the program. All those guys are still there. Nick's back, Mazio's back. Those freshmen are now a year older. We've brought in some transfers since then, and we've brought in another high school wide receiver since then. So all the competition and depth that we had last year, it's even more so now. So that's a battle that I'm, looking forward to watching in the fall or watching in August. We're not going to be able to play 10 receivers every game. So it's going to be exciting as we get into August to really see how that position group shakes itself out and who steps up and solidifies themselves as being a core member of the wide receiver rotation.
Third row on the end.
Hey, Coach, Abby Miller from The Reflector with Mississippi State. You guys are coming off a home loss against Clemson. How are you preparing to get on the road and hopefully secure?
They're not coming off a home loss against Clemson.
That was months ago.
That was November.
God.
I know that Shane Beamer probably is too big of a man, too good of a guy what are you talking about? And, you and I experienced this a lot last week at ACC Media Days. Yeah. There are people who receive media credentials that ask stupid questions.
Who was it?
Stupid.
We were in the SMU
the big room.
Mm-hmm. Somebody asked a question, and you just leaned over and he goes, what a stupid question.
There's so many of them. And again, no disrespect to those journalists, but my gosh, me and you were in that small room one time, breakout, and people would ask 4, 5, 6 questions in a row, and then one lady was like introducing herself and told the coach Rhett Lashley what her social security number was and how much she loved it. Just da. You're not coming off a loss to Clemson in July. You're just not.
They're the people, Cole, you just thank you for tapping back into that pet peeve. The people in the breakout interviews who think this is a one-on-one interview where, I'm going to ask 5 or 6 questions in a row. I even saw one.
I'm the only one in the room, right?
Oh, I saw one girl bring out a purse with folded up questions on little pieces of paper.
Yeah.
Said, take 3 of these and answer a question. I'm like, lady, this took 5 minutes for him to answer these 3 questions.
Ridiculous. All right, more from that absurd question. Sorry to disrespect the reporter if it sounded disrespectful.
Win this season.
Yeah.
What was the question again? I'm sorry. Let's go back.
You guys are coming off a home loss against Clemson. How are you preparing to get on the road and hopefully secure the win this season?
You're coming off a home loss against Clemson. How do you prepare to go on the road and get a win? Is that what she said?
Is she asking about a game that happened 8 months ago?
And a game that's not happening for another
6 months.
One more time.
As being a core member of the wide receiver rotation.
Third row on the end.
Hey, Coach, Abby Miller from The Reflector with Mississippi State. You guys are coming off a home loss against Clemson. How are you preparing to get on the road and hopefully secure the win this season?
Yeah, we got a lot of work to do before we get to Thanksgiving.
And him laughing's like him not him laughing
to get mad.
Just being the bigger man. What a dumb question. Come on, what a dumb question.
Weekend, that rivalry's been strange in my 5 years as the head coach, and that the home team hasn't won yet. They've beaten us 3 times in Columbia, and we've beaten them 2 times at Clemson. So hopefully that continues. But we've got a lot of work to do before then. For us, we've always been a team that we've tried to just get better as the year goes. And the key for us on that one will be, to be a better team game 12 when we get to that game than what we were game 1. And it's a great rivalry. It's a special rivalry. We have a lot of respect for their program and how they do things. And, that's a long ways away, but we'll be excited when we get to that one.
Excited when we get there, says Shane Beamer, and a little bit more audio later in the show from Beamer.
Coach, what kind of special challenge is Towson going to give you?
Yeah.
It's like, who is Towson? They're on our schedule?
I get why he laughs there. She's asking about Clemson, and maybe I don't know if she's a student reporter, who she is, but the fact of the matter is
the home equity agreement.
What is that?
Where's that coming from?
What is that? Sorry. Home equity agreements.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, whatever. The fact of the matter is the reason Beamer laughed there, he's worried about fall camp. He's worried about keeping that quarterback named Lenore Sellers healthy. He's worried about a million other things. Of course, Clemson will be on the radar, but not right now. I mean, he's not even thinking about it's whatever. Ask the question, get it out there. I think coaches nowadays have to have some level of reverence to reporters, Diesel, because they get stupid questions now on a daily basis. And do I ask stupid? Of course, I've asked stupid questions before. I'm not saying I haven't.
It's a Mississippi State reporter, though, who probably doesn't know more about South Carolina than Clemson's arrival. Let's ask about that.
Yeah, that's all I know about. Let me ask about it. Sorry for picking on whatever her name was the whole time.
Cole, maybe we should get her on the show and help her write some better questions. When we come back, oh boy, we teased this earlier today. ESPN's making some massive layoffs, and who's going to get the benefit of all that salary that's being freed up? Big time contract coming out for ESPN. And I want to ask you, Tolos, as we're in talking season, what main dish would make you skip someone's tailgate if you found out that they had this as the thing they were serving? Make you say, no, I think I'm going to go to my other buddy's tailgate instead. That's in the next segment. Oh, man, what are hardcore sports fans going to do without the deep diving, nuanced discussion points of one Ryan Clark? Or the crazy hats with the hair sticking up through it of Cam Newton? Those two guys are gone, Cole. ESPN is doing a round of firings. Ryan Clark and Cam Newton are gone. Nobody, I think, is going to be all that broken up by that. It does suck to see Karl Ravech go, though.
Yeah, I am more of a Cam fan than I am a Ryan Clark fan. So, like, do I love watching Cam Newton? No, I don't love it. But you know what? When he talks, I do watch, I do listen because it's Cam, and he's either going to say something that I agree with or something really outlandish that's crazy off the wall that I don't agree with, and he's a lightning rod. So,
did you ever see the movie Training Day?
No.
Denzel Washington and Ethan Hawke?
Don't think so.
Denzel is sitting in a diner, and he's trying to drink his coffee and trying to read his morning newspaper. And Ethan Hawke, his rookie, is sitting down in the diner chair across from him, and he starts talking. He won't shut up, right? He's telling some stupid story, and Denzel keeps looking over his paper edge, like, come on, man, let me read my newspaper. And then finally he puts it down. He goes, okay, tell me a story. Tell me a story. And he tells him a story of something that he experienced out. He goes, I'm just trying to read my newspaper. I understand that what's in this newspaper is 90% BS, but it entertains me. Is that what you're saying, Cam Newton and Ryan Clark are?
Well,
you understand that it's BS, but it's entertaining?
No. Ryan Clark does not entertain me. He never has.
Oh, okay.
I do appreciate Cam's, like, going back to the BS part of the question, I do appreciate the fact that Cam did play the game at a very high level. And because of that, I'm not saying Ryan Clark didn't, but I do appreciate Cam's perspective on a lot of things because he played the game at a high level. And again, we have this conversation all the time. When you play the game at a high level like Cam Newton did, does that mean your opinion matters? Yes. Does that mean that anybody who didn't play the game shouldn't have an opinion? No. So I think you have to understand that two things can be true there and both sides matter, right? Just because he played the game doesn't make him the end-all be-all, but at the same time, I do value his opinion because he did play the game. And guess what? I was watching a video of Cam Newton this morning, and I don't know if we'll have time to get to the audio today, but this audio of Cam Newton this morning was talking about quarterbacks. I think it was that list that you and I brought up on the show a couple of weeks ago, Diesel, where we had the top ranked NFL quarterbacks. I can't remember. It was an NFL writer or somebody who did that a couple of weeks ago. And Cam was talking about quarterbacks, like just going head to head and stats, and the same conversation we had about Super Bowls being the end all be all. So when it comes to that kind of stuff, I do value Cam's perspective. Sometimes I think Cam, like a lot of other people, can be outlandish, but I'd much prefer Cam Newton over Ryan Clark.
Well, we're not going to have to listen to either of them. Now, I'm sure both will start a podcast and they'll still be out there. You know, people like that, you don't just disappear from the media landscape. But if you're not a fan of Ryan Clark, if you're not a fan of Cam Newton, both of them got the big ugly axe by ESPN. Like I said, Karl Ravech, though, he's been around ESPN for 33 years, Cole, as a host and as an analyst. And Karl Ravech is gone, and that one is unfortunate. But watch him start a podcast, and it'll be picked up by some big-time radio network, and Karl Ravech will be back out there in no time as well.
Tom Pelissero. I mean, that's a big one.
Tom?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize they got Tom, too.
Tom's
that
gone.
Stinks.
Yeah, Tom Pelissero. Well, real quick, want to shout out our Tolos watching the show. A lot of Tolos watching from different places today. Stephen Webb gets in. He says, Tolo from the beach of Oak Island, North Carolina.
Hey.
Boston Scott says, Tolo disappeared for a while, but your boy is back.
Welcome.
Dewey, of course, is on there. Austin Wright on YouTube. If you're still watching, appreciate you. Jersey Joe. Shane Barrett says, I'm Toloing in Oregon. Did I miss Zac Blackerby? Zach's coming up as Diesel said in the next segment, Shane. So turn it on, leave it on. Appreciate all the Tolos who are listening in the upstate, but also those who are watching or listening nationwide today.
Hey,
nationwide. Love that.
love
From Oregon all the way to, what was that beach again? Oak Island Beach in North Carolina. Never heard of it, but appreciate that.
Coast.
I do. What do we get these every 3 or 4 years, these ESPN layoffs? I do feel for anybody who gets laid off. Getting laid off sucks. I don't feel as bad for people who are making millions, that get laid off. I think it's easier if you're smart with your money to provide for your family when you're making millions than it is when you're living paycheck to paycheck, but it still sucks to get laid off regardless.
Hey, there's a lot of people who make a lot of money who are still living paycheck to paycheck because they're also bad with their money.
Yeah.
You know, oh my God, I got my first $1 million a year job. Let me go buy a Maserati, which is extremely expensive, breaks down all the time, and is really expensive to fix.
Yeah.
I mean, people make dumb decisions all the time. Well, and what are they going to do with all that money, Cole? They're going to give Pat McAfee a raise. Pat McAfee will get a raise to $60 million a year. Tell me why Pat McAfee should have a bigger salary than the top 5 college football coaches in America combined.
Well, look, I think if you combined and looked at the top salaries at ESPN, you'd see Pat, and somewhere near the top, you'd also see Stephen A. Smith.
True.
So Stephen A. Smith and Pat, I believe, without looking, are ESPN's top 2, maybe 3 highest paid employees. And I agree with you. I mean, that's an absurd number to be making, but at the same time, ESPN sees something where they say, oh, that guy's worth the money because he's bringing in this. It's ROI, right? Return on your investment. I see that in, the life every day in terms of business or in radio, like radio advertisers. They want a ROI. I mean, radio talent that helps bring in money is more valuable than radio talent that doesn't help bring in money. And Diesel, when you have guys like Pat McAfee and Stephen A. Smith, who me and you may not be the biggest fans of, but they're giving ESPN a big return on their investment. There's a reason they're cutting those checks. That's a lot of money, but there's got to be a reason behind it.
According to this article on Bleacher Report, Pat McAfee will now be the highest paid at $60 million. Stephen A. Smith, his contract with ESPN, and granted, he works with other companies too. He makes $40 million a year from ESPN. Tom Brady makes $37.5, but he's with Fox. Let's see, who else? Charles Barkley's making $21 million a year. Troy Aikman's making $18 million. Let's see, Tony Romo, 18, Pat McAfee. This seems to be an old article, Cole, because it lists Pat McAfee at just $17 million. So he's almost tripled his salary since then. I mean, I would argue, granted, I don't always love the guy or love what he has to say. I would say Kirk Herbstreit works harder than a lot of these guys because he is in all of the production meetings. He's flying all over the country. He's calling multiple games a week. And that is a tremendous amount of show prep to do.
During football season, he's definitely putting in the work,
true.
Right? You know what I mean? And again, it's a lot of money. I mean, it is a lot of money. I will say this. I read an article earlier today that talked about, Diesel, if you remember, back in April, ESPN acquired NFL Network. So it seems as if the memo that was sent out to employees on Tuesday morning that the moves today at ESPN are a result of ESPN's acquisition of NFL Network and other league digital assets last year. I don't know what that means and why that's the case, but them acquiring NFL Networks or NFL Network, Diesel's obviously making them make some cuts in other places. I don't know if it takes them a while to make their money back on that investment from NFL Network, but that's a big thing. Like NFL Network was a pretty big entity on its own, right? And ESPN purchased it, acquires it in April, and now just 3 months later, you're seeing people lose their job, making millions. I would love to be, here's what I'd love to be. I'd love to be an employee for ESPN making $500,000 a year. Probably never going to lose your job. Never lose your job. I mean, when they cut these salaries, they're cutting the big ones, right? They're cutting the big ones, and you can make $500,000. You probably never even get called into the office at ESPN.
It's easy to fire one Ryan Clark, and I don't know how much Ryan was making or Cam was making from ESPN, but you fire those two guys, all of a sudden, bam, you got a pool of another $5 to $10 million that you can spread around to your talent who's bringing in the dollars. Shane Barrett says, I miss Good Morning Football. It was so good, and then tanked once ESPN acquired it. Shane, I miss old school Sports Center. Just 1 hour broadcast, and then it went to 2, and they would just repeat it all morning, just highlights. It was so good.
Yeah.
It was so good. I didn't need 7 different shows to watch. I didn't need to wake up to people arguing. It's not entertaining to me.
And again, do I love ESPN? No. Do I still watch it almost every day? Yeah, I do. I mean, it's the network. I mean, what else? You know what I mean? And again, That doesn't
watch
mean
Fox's pregame show. No.
That doesn't mean I love the content. There are many days I turn on First Take or Get Up, which I do enjoy for the most part. Like I enjoy Mike Greenberg and I enjoy Stephen A. Smith. There are many days what they've got the people on there that I just don't like, and they're talking about something I don't like. I can't do it. I flip it off. But guess what? In this podcasting world, when you're probably getting more clicks on YouTube on a First Take video than you are maybe live viewers, I don't know that to be the case, but there's a good chance of that. And there are a lot of good shows on ESPN, and you mentioned SportsCenter that we miss, but I still think at the end of the day, like there's a reason they're able to pay these ridiculous type of salaries. I mean, they're able to pay these ridiculous type of salaries. And you said that Stephen A. Smith and Pat McAfee are both making combined 60 and 40. That's $100 million a year. I mean, $100 million. $100 million contracts between two people. Think about that. Talk about money being tied up.
It's very true. I'm just out of curiosity. I am searching for First Take on ESPN and clips that were released today.
Few hours ago,
have anything short of, let's see, anything short of about 5 or 6 hours ago. So these are the clips that were released today. 27,000 views, 72,000 views, 76,000 views, and 14,000 views.
And it's July.
And it's July. So do the quick math on that. You're talking about 200,000 plus views on 4 YouTube videos, and they're putting that out every single day. Yeah. Every single day.
So the money's coming in is my point. You know
it is. And who knows how much money that generates? Don't know. Cole, let's skip the topic that I was going to bring up here for this segment, and let's talk Atlanta Braves. They got it done again yesterday, 3-2 win at home against the Padres, who are a team hovering around 500. They're not the best on the road. But Elder goes 6 innings. Cole gives their bullpen a little bit of a rest. You had Michael Harris Jr. and Ozzie Albies both go yard. 3-2 win over the Padres. So it shows, Cole, that the offensive firepower that we thought was like, oh my God, they're scoring 9 runs a game against the Rangers. That's not necessarily going to be an every night kind of thing. And they still can't get Bryce Elder any run support.
I'll tell you what. Here was my takeaway after last night's Braves game, Diesel. And I thought about that this morning as I was driving. The Atlanta Braves are now 58-41 on the season. And last night, the Braves won a baseball game. And I'm not trying to overreact, but they totaled 4 hits in one game. Like yesterday, if on this show you and I said, hey, the Braves are only going to get 4 hits tonight, you and I probably both say they're going to lose the game, right? 4 hits, just not going to get it done. Padres are all hovering around 500, but they're still a quality baseball team. Still got a lot of talent on that team. Mm-hmm. What I love is you have a team last night that gets 4 hits, and thanks to an Ozzie Albies bomb, you win the game. And you mentioned Bryce Elder didn't get the most run support. That's obvious when you only have 4 hits to show for. But Victor Madero's, this bullpen was really good last night. And Bryce Elder, he got hit a few times, but he had a quality start. Was it terrific? No. Was it horrible? No. It was a quality start for Bryce Elder. And what excites me about last night as a Braves fan is very simple. Great teams can win in different ways, Diesel. Great teams can win in high-scoring affairs. Great teams can win in pitching duels. And I'm not saying this is a great Braves team that's going to win the World Championship, but I'm just saying that is a sign that gives me as a fan a lot of hope that they can still turn this thing around. They've won 3 of their last 4, and you really couldn't ask for a much better start since the All-Star break, other than obviously going 4-0.
Yeah, that's very true. Michael Harris just keeps doing what he does, right? Michael Harris has been a hit machine all season long. He's doing great hitting long balls, Cole. He's hitting deep off the wall. I mean, he is a fun player to watch. Huge fan of Michael Harris Jr. and the way his game has developed, his hitting has developed this season. It does make me nervous, Cole, as much as Ozzie Albies. I don't know if I didn't catch the home run that he hit last night, but he has been, golfing a lot of home runs out of the park lately. He has been chasing a lot of low pitches, getting a lot of contact there. I am curious if Walt Weiss and the hitting coaches on that team are trying to get him to lay off of those. Like, I know he's hitting them. I know he's getting them out of the ballpark. But when you face really, really good pitchers, Cole, who have a lot of movement, that level of confidence that Ozzie Albies is probably building up hitting pitches like that and hitting them a long way, that can come back to bite you late in the season when you get pitchers who are really good at moving the ball.
Well, what I love is there are certainly areas, and if you're a Braves fan, want to hear from you, 844-326-3663. There are certainly, and I know JB's getting in on it now on YouTube, there are certainly areas this team still has a lot of improvement. Like you talk about pitching, the bullpen's, in the first few months, the bullpen was really good. Hitting has been a struggle right before the All-Star break. What I love is, and I know this sounds strange, I love that there are still issues, but yet the Braves are finding ways to win in these four very small sample size. But like I said yesterday on the show, you do get Austin Riley starting to feel. Now, last night he was 0 for 2, but that 0 for 2, like you go back and watch those at-bats, they were good at-bats. He had contact on the ball. He was hitting it hard, 107 miles an hour off the bat, I believe 1 or 2 of those. So he's making contact. You start to feel better about his game. You get that guy named Ronald Acuna back any day now. You have July, a few days left. You've got August, and then you start to get to September, and you start to pull away, separate the NL East, or heck, even just make the postseason. But if you get into September and things start falling in place, I think you have to, and depending on what happens at the deadline, I think you have to look at this Braves team still as a contender if this can continue to go up, trend upward.
It does make me a little bit nervous, though, Cole, if the Braves do get the bye, because you and I both know that the bye has been a death knell for a lot of teams since the first round bye was introduced in these playoffs. And if I'm the Braves, I'm like, do I really want to finish first place?
I know. I've thought that a million times this year. It's like maybe we let the Phillies win the division.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if no coach will ever agree to that, right? No. And of course, you want to win the division, but the reality is, if you go look right now, and here's what I think this will become really interesting here in a month. And again, you've got a week and a half left of July. The Phillies are 3 games back. The Phillies scored, and this is kind of what scares me. The Phillies scored 10 runs on the Dodgers last night. 10.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, my. You scored 10 on the Dodgers. Phillies are a good team. They've turned things around. You know what the Phillies have shown us this year, and this baseball season has been fun for a lot of reasons, but this one in particular. Look at what the Philadelphia Phillies are doing right now. Look at what the Boston Red Sox are doing right now. And you talk about timing being good in April versus being good in August. This season's so long. Yes, those games in April matter, but playing at the right time. The Red Sox are the hottest team. They're about to break history for being, I think, the best record they've had of consecutive wins in a long, long time. They're tearing the cover off the ball. The Yankees absolutely can't hit the ball. But guess what? 1 month from now, things might look completely different. The Phillies might be on a 4-game, 5-game, 6-game losing streak. Hopefully they are. I just think that while you do celebrate every win for the Braves, you have to be careful. You have to be careful, Diesel, in baseball, not make too much of one win, not make too much of one loss. Again, don't make too much of one win. Don't make too much of one loss. The Braves they should be happy, right? I mean, you got 3 out of your last 4. They've looked good.
Yeah. So long as you are still putting bat on the ball in those wins and in those losses, and you're still competitive. You don't want to start having those kind of games. And we saw a few of those going into the All-Star break where the Braves would muster just 1 hit a game or 2 hits a game. You can't
I went to one. I went the only game I've been to this year, they got 1 hit. And I paid money to park, to eat, to attend.
How much all in would you say you spent on that game?
Parking was $40. Let's throw a tank of gas in, $60, right? So there's $100 right there. Tickets weren't bad. We sat in the outfield, me and a couple buddies. So I maybe my ticket was $40-$50. I mean, what wasn't much.
That's still a lot.
So $150, and then you factor in food. I think I bought a shirt, so probably $350-$400.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, for just going to Atlanta. I mean,
you should have gone right to the ticket booth and said, give me my money back.
I know.
That sucked.
One hit's all they got. 1 hit wonder that day were the Atlanta Braves. It's interesting, though. I mean, when you look at the season, there's still a lot to be played. So it's exciting. I'm excited for it, and I think Braves fans should be as well. Diesel, let's go back to, well, not back to, for the first time today, to Tampa. I guess we could go back. We went to Tampa yesterday, didn't we? We took 2 trips down there.
Yeah.
We're going right back to Tampa in the very next segment. Zac Blackerby live from SEC Media Days. He's talking Auburn. He's talking SEC. We'll get into it with Zac next. So we begin our trip to Tampa, SEC Media Days, as we're joined by Zac Blackerby. He's with Locked On Podcast. He covers Auburn. A lot happening down there this week. And Zac, how the heck are you, man?
Doing well. Had a busy morning with all the Auburn coverage, but the Tigers done. Now we wait 2 weeks until they start fall camp.
So what was your biggest takeaway? We, Diesel and I earlier today were talking about Auburn, and of the 4 teams today, what was interesting, Zac, is we both agreed, Diesel and I did, that Auburn's kind of the most intriguing team of the 4 teams there today, and not because they've had like an uber amount of success on the field lately, but because it's year 1 of Alex Golesh, and there's expectations that we really don't know how to meet, how to fulfill if you're an Auburn fan. Your biggest takeaway on what was said to excite Auburn fans going into the season?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was necessarily anything that was said, but, the way Byram Brown, of course, Auburn's quarterback, the way he handled himself today, I think pretty impressive. I think the kids call it aura. We used to call it swagger, whatever you want to call it. But he, definitely, it reminded me a little bit of Diego Pavia last year, not as far as like the antics of the personality, but as far as like the stage is not too big for me. The stage is like, this is where I belong with all these people focusing on me, being very comfortable. I think that was probably my biggest takeaway. I think as far as, everything Golesh said on the main stage was pretty watered down, pretty like straightforward, kind of generic stuff. He got a little more personal in some of the smaller rooms, the electronic media room, and some of the interviews that he had on Digital Drive. But yeah, I mean, I think Alex Golesh, for the folks who maybe weren't familiar with him, maybe they saw, a different type of figurehead than what they're used to with Hugh Freeze at Auburn. This guy a lot more confident. This guy a lot more consistent. This guy clearly having a vision and a plan. We'll see if it turns into more wins this fall.
Zac, it's Diesel here. Appreciate you joining the show with us today as Alex Golesh gets a couple of more years under his belt in the SEC. Maybe a sense of familiarity with the media members that are going to come. Will he eventually become the kind of mouth for the SEC that we have come to expect out of SEC Media Days, thinking about all the greats that have come through that have always captured the headlines? Is he ever going to be that kind of guy?
Alex Golesh is one of the most self-aware people I've ever had the chance to meet or talk to. He was asked outside of Senior Bowl practices earlier this calendar year down in Mobile about, his thoughts on expansion and the college football playoff and NIL and rev share, all the hot topics. And he's like, look, guys, like, I've got an opinion, but who cares? Who cares what my opinion is? I have no cachet in this league. I have no equity. I have no, I'm not the face of this league right now. They don't care what I have to say. And he's been pretty consistent with all of that. I talked to folks close to, different situations, whether it's Golesh, whether it's other coaches down at the SEC meetings in Hoover, and head coaches all and talking. And Golesh just kind of sat there when he was asked specifically. He knows where he is in this conference. He hasn't coached a game. He hasn't won a game. He hasn't done anything, and he's aware of that. So could he be that at some point if he starts bringing SEC championships back to Auburn? Sure, absolutely. But I don't really see that happening anytime soon.
What's interesting is we're joined by Zac Blackerby of Locked On Network covering Auburn, and obviously getting a full taste of the SEC slate this week down in Florida, Tampa, Florida, for SEC Media Days. Auburn fans, as you very well know, have high expectations, and the college football playoff is something that they haven't been able to reach during this new era of college football playoffs having a postseason. They've gone through a couple of different coaches, Zac, and, we can blame this coach or that coach, but for whatever reason, and you tell me if I'm wrong here, I look at Auburn, and they just haven't been able to recruit the way that they did, I don't know, a decade ago, and especially at the quarterback position. You can blame Hugh Freeze, or maybe we blame Alex Golesh in 2 years from now, but Has Auburn lost the ability to go out and get a dominant quarterback in your mind?
I don't think so. I mean, under Hugh Freeze, I wouldn't say recruiting was the problem. They were consistently in the top 10. They got, multiple high-ranked guys. Walker White didn't pan out. Deuce Knight, a guy that everybody wanted in the transfer portal. Obviously, he transferred to Ole Miss. But I would say no to that. And we'll see what they choose to do in the next recruiting cycle. But I also think getting Byron Brown in the portal was massive.
So let me ask you this, not to cut you off, and I apologize for cutting you off. If it's in your mind, and you know the program a lot closer than we do, if it's not recruiting, what would you point to? Like if you just said, okay, and somebody walked in your office or walked into SEC Media Days and said, Zach, why has Auburn just not been able to consistently get back to the top of the league in the past decade? What would your answer be if it's not recruiting?
Yeah, I would say coaching. I think the lack of attention to detail was staggering under Hugh Freeze. I think the lack of focus under Hugh Freeze was a major problem, and that seems to be pretty consistent across the board. So lack of offensive identity, you could say that under Hugh Freeze. You could say that under Brian Harsin. You can say that under really the last few years of Gus Malzahn as well. So the defenses have been able to hold their own. It's been offensive identity, and that's something you heard Golish talk a ton about today on the main stage, is having an identity on the offensive side of the football. But I think that's what's been holding Auburn back. I mean, look back to last year. It was ultimately the game that got Hugh Freeze fired, but Kentucky of all schools, they get to 10 points at Jordan-Hare Stadium, and it's like, oh, yeah, Jackson Arnold's not scoring 10 points. There's no way. There's no way this Auburn offense is scoring 10 points in that game. So, yeah, it's been a lack of offensive identity for sure.
Zach, Curt Cignetti up at Indiana proved that you can bring a roster comprised of a lot of G5 transfers into a power program and win at a high level right out of the gate. That's a tougher prospect in the SEC. But, I mean, hey, if Alex Golish, when he brought, a good number of guys from his USF program, do you see the ability with those guys plus the new additional pieces to see, and I'm not going to say, make a college football playoff in the first year. That's a ludicrous benchmark that Curt Cignetti set. But is there potential really with this schedule to see an improvement from 5 wins to 7 or 8?
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I think expecting, 7 wins this year is a totally reasonable thing. I think the path to that is fairly clear. And people kind of kept trying to force Golish to put a goal out there and he's like, I don't do goals, but he's not Golish. 7 is funny.
Sorry,
I think no, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I like you guys. So I think, I think 7 and 5 is depending on the fan that you're talking to. I think most people will be fine with that because it is such a step forward in the right direction. But they also want to see some sort of anything that resembles a modern college football offense, because it's just been so long since Auburn has had that. So, you still lose, even if you lose a game to LSU or Ole Miss or Alabama or Georgia, but maybe you're losing it 38-35 instead of 10-7 or something like that. I do think that would be something the fan base could get behind.
So tell us about Byron Brown. He is a guy, I believe a senior, if without looking, a senior going into his senior season. So a guy at 6'3", 232, Zach, that has a little bit of experience in college football. Talk about what you know. Obviously, we hadn't seen him play yet. The season hasn't started. We don't get preseason games in college football, but what should expect, like Shane Barrett's on our YouTube stream. He's a big Auburn guy. What should excite Auburn fans this season about their quarterback in Byron Brown?
Yeah, one of the most productive players in college football a year ago, one of 13 players ever to rush for 1,000 yards in a season and pass for 3,000. So a guy that can do it all, a guy that understands the system, same head coach, same offensive coordinator, same quarterback coach, same assistant head coach with Cody Burns coming over. It's like he knows the system. They're adding more things than what they did at South Florida because it's the SEC. Got to prepare for more stuff. But a guy who seems super smart, super savvy, absolutely massive, looked like a defensive end walking up and down Digital Drive earlier today. And once again, just a guy that I think has all the confidence in the world because he's done it. He's proven it, and now he gets a chance to do it at the SEC level. So I think Byron Brown is – I think he checks all the boxes of what an SEC quarterback should look like up to this point. But like you guys said, he hadn't played yet. You got to go out and win football games.
Zach, you eat an elephant one bite at a time, and not even thinking about the Alabama game all the way in November. It feels like it's still, a year away at this point. Let's talk about week number 1, September 5th against Baylor in Atlanta. How fired up are the Auburn fans really for this game? I mean, I know Baylor's not really picked to be a tippy top of the Big 12 this year. I mean, is that going to be an Auburn dominant crowd? Are they going to be pulling a huge number of fans up to Atlanta?
Yeah. So for folks out of the Auburn market, this game and the lead up to it is kind of interesting. So this originally was a home and home between Auburn and Baylor. Auburn went to Waco last year. They played on a Friday night. It was super fun. It was a cool moment between both fan bases. And they're like, cool, looking forward to coming to Auburn next year. And then John Cohen, Auburn's AD, strikes up this deal with, I guess, the Peach Bowl and with Aflac. And they're getting like $6 million for Auburn's NIL to play this game in Atlanta. So they give up the home field. Now, it's still technically a home game. If you bought season tickets, you get tickets to this game. Auburn gets tickets to this game as if it's a home game when it goes to allotment. So it will still, regardless of it being a neutral site game or a home game with an asterisk next to it, Auburn's still going to, have pretty much all the ticket allotment, is my understanding. So kind of interesting. I think this is kind of a new age of college football where you're having to do different things to do whatever it can to get the funds to recruit the roster. So some fans are still super ticked off that this game got moved out of Auburn and to Atlanta. So they're excited about the season getting going, but some fans are upset that they did lose a home game, despite if you want to put an asterisk next to it or not. As far as the matchup itself, Baylor's interesting. DJ Lagway going over there. They've got some receivers that Baylor feels pretty good about. I said this going into last year's game against Baylor. I think the trenches on both sides of the ball point dramatically in Auburn's favor. I said that last year. I'll say it again. So I do think Auburn should be in a pretty good spot with this. But it's a good opportunity to make a statement. I think there's going to be some intrigue because of the lead up to this game and why it's being played in Atlanta. And I think guys like Byron Brown will have a chance to make a statement on what should be a pretty national stage.
So, Zach, if you're Andrew Warsaw, the GM there of Auburn Tigers football, are you going to take that full $4 to $6 million, whatever that number is, and bet it all on Black and go get a quarterback for next year? I mean, that's what you got to spend if you want a top-tier quarterback in college football. If you can secure an elite guy for next year, is that the plan?
Yeah. I mean, it's what you got to do, right? It's what you got to do. We'll see what method they go with. There's a young guy that they brought in from Oregon State this past offseason named Tristan Tia. It sounds like they really, really like him. He'll be QB2 for Auburn this year. I think it's going to be interesting to see how they bring him along because there's a chance he's fighting for the starting spot next year. He's got to earn it. He'll have plenty of opportunities to do it. And if they can pull that off, man, it would save them a lot of money in the portal.
Zach, great stuff, man. We appreciate your time. Great coverage in Tampa, and we look forward to talking to you again soon once the season gets here, if that's okay.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Hit me up anytime. Enjoyed chatting with y'all.
Absolutely. That's Zac Blackerby covering Auburn, Locked On Network. Fantastic stuff there. And, Auburn, we talked about it back in the very first segment. It's so interesting. And, I asked about recruiting and quarterback. I know Auburn, according to recruiting ranking services out there, has had okay recruiting classes. But my point is this. Turn the TV on Saturday.
Yeah.
Like they're not the same teams as who they're playing, and I think that starts at quarterback. Can anybody name a quarterback at Auburn in the past decade that's not an Auburn fan? I
No.
They hadn't had that dynamic. They hadn't had Lenore Sellers even. You know what I mean? They've got to do a better job, I think, of hitting. They're not developing. They're not hitting on these guys. Something's got to give.
Zac Blackerby is at Z Blackerby on Twitter. Go find him and give him a follow. Yeah, and looking up, and this is according to Google, so take it with a grain of salt.
Google's never wrong.
Auburn's NIL valuation for this season was about $26 million. And that seems like a lot of money, and it is a lot of money. There's a lot of teams who would love to be able to spend $26 million on their roster. Those teams are not playing in the SEC, though. Here's the problem. When you got LSU spending – I don't even remember what their number was, like $45-50 million this year. A lot of money. Texas spending what they're spending. Oklahoma spending what they're spending. Alabama spending what they're spending. I mean, good luck trying to win a lot of football games with a $26 million roster. And so you got to figure it out. Now, and maybe Shane on the stream can help me out here. I imagine there's some money down there on the plains, Cole, but it's a rural college. There's a lot of similarities between it and Clemson. They may be turning out doctors and lawyers for all I know that have money, but I mean, where is the money really coming from? And essentially, if they want to win at the highest level, can they double it? And that's hard to do.
It's going to have to come from somewhere. I just, you look at Auburn and you just can't think in the last, like I said a minute ago, the last decade, you just can't really name any good Auburn players. And that's no disrespect to those guys, but like when you play in this SEC, man, you've got to, nowadays, to your point, you've got to spend money. You've got to have guys. Real quick live look in. Shane Beamer on live with Paul Feinbaum.
Every game's going to be close. We're playing 9 of them now this season, so you got to anticipate 9 games. They're going to come down to the fourth quarter, and it is a fine line, and that's why the fundamentals and the details and the discipline, I mean, all those things show up more than ever and have such a huge magnitude on winning.
I don't know anything about what you do. I think the thing in the future is just quit getting.
I don't know anything about what you do.
I mean, if you come from behind, if you and almost win, it's not. There's something about losing a big lead that makes things worse than the other way around.
It's perception for sure, but I think I like let's get a big lead and see if we can keep it better than what we did last season.
When you self-evaluate, and I know coaches are always internal. I mean, do you see things? Okay, is it one thing, or is it just a play here and a play there?
No, great question. I think it's one thing, but I think it's big picture, and I'm no different probably than any coach. You reflect back and review after every game, the decisions that I made as the head coach, not just in the game, but leading up to the game and practice throughout the week.
So there's a little bit of Shane Beamer from earlier. Actually, no, not earlier today. That's live right now. If you want to watch the whole thing, Tolos, don't do it right now because you're Toloing, but later on the Paul Feinbaum show.
And apologies to Dan B, because we're like, whoa, what kind of quarterbacks have Auburn produced in the past 10 years? I mean, they did produce Bo Nix and Jarrett Stidham, 2 guys, both of them playing for the Broncos right now.
No, I'm not saying like producing at the NFL level. I'm saying like, what did they? Bo Nix went to Oregon and was great, and he was good at Auburn too. But like, tell me a quarterback that's took Auburn anywhere close to the promised land. They haven't,
and it's a developmental problem. Clearly, if you're that type of quarterback, you should be accomplishing more in college rather than falling short of your expectations and your ability in college and then going on to be a really good quarterback in the NFL.
I was going to say good quarterbacks in the NFL. Again, going back to Auburn, you have to have a full roster around those guys. I completely get that. But you think back on Auburn football lately, you just don't think of them being anywhere relevant close to playoff success.
Yeah, and that coincides with the rise of Alabama, obviously, and the rise of Georgia, and it gets harder and harder to do. Especially when you're not a flagship university in the SEC. Cole, let's take a look around the sports world, see what else is going on out there next in our segment called Daily Wires. Well, Cole, so much happening in the sports world. Let's hit it all in one go. These are our daily wires, the buzz around the sports world. The white-hot Boston Red Sox, Cole, could break a big-time record within the organization, a 15-game winning streak for a team led by Ted Williams 80 years ago has stood for a long, long time, Cole, and tonight the Red Sox can match the mark set by that 1946 Red Sox team.
Yeah, that's pretty good team, Ted Williams, right? And 19-year career he had. I mean, this is like I said earlier in the show, they're on a tear right now. And it just goes to show baseball's streaky, man.
It's a fickle game. LeBron James's longtime friend and agent Rich Paul of Clutch Sports said yesterday, Cole, that he doesn't know when LeBron is going to make a decision on what team he'll play for next year. He also added that any teams interested in LeBron joining them do not need to do anything else to sway his client's mind in the meantime. Quote, we're not going to be rushed, he said on the latest episode of Game Over with Max Kellerman.
Yeah, evidently not. I mean, it's August almost, and you still hadn't decided.
TikTok, LeBron.
Training camp starts in what? A couple months.
Figure it out, would you, buddy? Another win for the Atlanta Braves. The Braves won 3-2 last night over the Padres, a pretty good team, by the way. Ozzie Albies hit a home run that gave them the lead. So congratulations to the Braves getting it done with a lot of offense in some games and really good pitching in others.
Go Braves, baby. Let's keep it up tonight. Keep it up.
Unfortunately, the Dodgers didn't help the Braves out by knocking the Phillies down a little bit because the Phillies beat the Dodgers 10-7 last night. So the Braves still only lead by 3 games in the division. Tonight, Ronaldo Lopez gets the start for the Braves.
Yeah, look, you can't bank on that happening too much. What I mean is, Dodgers are going to win tonight. You should, if you take care of business tonight, maybe you can widen that gap a little bit. Hopefully, knock on wood.
It's firing season at ESPN, Cole. We talked about this earlier. Ryan Clark, Cam Newton, Carl Ravitch, and who was the one from
Tom Pelissero?
Tom Pelissero have all been let go from ESPN. Now, there were rumors that Ryan Clark was told of his firing during a commercial break.
Yeah.
Like they pulled him aside and said, hey, man, you're done. That didn't actually happen. ESPN has refuted those reports. Wow. And, of course, now people are looking at Pat McAfee's new $60 million a year raise and have said a raise to $60 million, not a $60 million raise, saying that Pat McAfee is to blame, right? They had to fire all these hosts to pay your salary. And he said that was terrible, Pat did. That's terrible. Don't say that about me.
Pat said that's terrible response to.
Yeah.
Huh. Wow. What a response.
He's wiping the tears away with $100 bills.
Yeah. No doubt.
Former U.S. champion Brandon McNulty, who is a cycling champion, by the way, faced a setback in his Tour de France preparations when he was brake checked by a car while traveling to a stage start. How about that? You're just trying to get to the starting line, and for some reason, the car in front of you slams on the brakes.
That's rough.
Then again, nobody likes cyclists.
Yeah.
You know,
that's tough.
You find a road with a bike lane and ride there. You don't own the road. Get out of the way. I want to do 45, and you could do at best like 20. Get out of my way. Carolina Panthers corner J.C. Horn and right tackle Taylor Moton have both been placed on the reserve/non-football injury list due to their different injuries. JC suffered a foot cut that required stitches, while Taylor Moton was diagnosed with a blood clot in his lung. That's no good.
No good.
And last one here for you, Cole. Live Golf has suffered another setback as the Asian Tour has officially partnered with the PGA Tour and DP World Tour, leaving the startup without the Asian Tour. So Live doesn't really have its second league. They have now partnered with the PGA.
A lot going wrong for old Liv.
Tough.
A lot going on. That is tough. I'll tell you what else is tough. Winning in the SEC. SEC Media Days Day 2 continue rolling on. Tolos will continue our SEC Media Day conversations, more audio, and your thoughts. If you're a fan of a team in the SEC, we'll get to it next.
Easy place to recruit to because we have the greatest fans in all of the world. And I know every coach in the SEC feels that way, but I am so driven to bring a championship to Columbia because of our fans. The easy place to recruit to because we have the greatest fans in all of the world. And I know every coach in the SEC feels that way, but I am so driven to bring a championship to Columbia because of our fans.
So Gamecock fans, later this fall, when you get mad at Shane Beamer for what he said in the post-game press conference, or you get mad at him for, kicking a cooler or throwing his headset, you need to remember he said you are the best fans in all of the world. So don't get mad at him. Be glad, not mad, Diesel. It's good coaches speak,
the whole
right?
wide world.
The whole wide world. Better than Argentina, better than the Messi fans, right? They have the best fans. And Gamecock fans, that means for a whole season, you cannot get mad. If you're a Gamecock fan in the Upstate today listening, you cannot get mad at Shane Beamer for one entire season because of how much pumping up he did.
Very complimentary.
Ooh,
Yeah.
He pumps you up today.
He said nothing but nice things about you, so we expect nothing but nice things to be said about
you what, man. Welcome into Wire to Wire. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. So good to be with you on this Tolo Tuesday. Phone lines are open if you want to talk SEC college football. I know a lot of you Tolos out there. Listen, don't interact until the Upset Picks Challenge comes in, and we'll see names we hadn't seen in close to 9 months, right? Names, you remember this guy? Yeah, we remember him. We just hadn't heard from him in a while. But how about get in on the SEC conversation today as we dive in, as we have been doing a lot already on the show with SEC Media Days. Jack Veltri, Diesel, joining us here in about 20 minutes, live from Tampa, a Gamecock perspective. Before you and I get into it, one more piece of audio. Why Lenora Sellers decided to return live from Tampa as the third-year starter at South Carolina. Here's what QB1 for the Gamecocks said.
Listen, I know last season didn't go the way you wanted, and there has really been an offensive overhaul at South Carolina on the field and on the coaching staff. How do you think those changes are going to help you reach your goals this season?
Yes, sir. Just bringing that new excitement, that confidence, new system, new coaches, new players, new teammates, just a lot of new opportunities. So they're super excited about that.
Now, in light of the transfer portal, it is rare these days that a quarterback returns for his third season as a starter, which is really your fourth season there at South Carolina. Why did you return?
It's home for me. I built these relationships with these guys. I trust these coaches. Playing with my brother. Just blessed to have this opportunity. I'm out work from home, like I said. So this is home for me. Love these fans. And yeah.
Now, listen,
it's home for me, Diesel, says Lenora Sellers. Obviously something you want to hear, right, when it comes to your QB1.
Yep.
And you do give him a lot of credit. He had options this offseason, right?
He would have been one of the most sought-after quarterbacks in the portal. I mean,
maybe.
Are you telling me?
You're right
telling me Miami would rather have Darian Mensah over Lenora Sellers? I mean, imagine a guy of his abilities going into that offense.
That's a good question.
He would, at the very least, okay. I mean, I know Darian Mensah probably the number one sought after quarterback this year. I mean, he would at the very least be in the top 5, maybe top 3.
No, I think he'd be in the top 3 for sure. Yeah. Maybe the top. That's a fun conversation though. 2025. Darian Mensah, we know, was one of the nation's most prolific passers. Now, you would compare Lenoris's 2024. I hadn't looked at the stats yet. You would compare Lenoris's 2024 stats to Darian's 2025 stats because statistically, Diesel, we know that Lenora Sellers had a much better season in 2024 than he did 2025. Lenora struggled last year with turnovers and a few other things. So going back to your question there, Gamecock fans, you can get in as well at 844-326-3663. That's interesting because last year, if you go off of just last year, here's what you have. Ready? Just last year, Darian Mensah, 3,973 yards, almost 4,000 yards last year. Lenora Sellers, in 8 SEC games, 1,445 yards. The numbers in the SEC compared to the ACC, I know that can get tricky a little bit. Lenora's had 6 interceptions in 8 SEC games. Darian was named the 2025 ACC Championship Game MVP, 34 touchdowns. Both are dynamic. and both returned to college football, right? Lenoris obviously with the same team and Darian with a different team. But no, I think to your point, I think he would have been sought after. Highly top 3 transfer portal quarterback. And for Beamer and that program to land him back, to get him back, I think it says a lot about the culture at South Carolina. You know, since Beamer's been hired, we've never said the culture's in a bad spot. No. We've never said that. The culture's been there. It feels like the culture's in the right spot at South Carolina. They just have not hit on these assistant coordinator hires. And that's what it's all going to come down to in 2026.
We're going to find out if Lenoir Sellers is actually a good quarterback or not. I mean, I think we all believe that Lenoir Sellers is a good quarterback.
I saw in 2024 that he is a very good quarterback.
He's got the body to be an elite quarterback. I mean, can he overcome all of the bad hires? Let's be real. Just call them bad hires.
And no offensive line.
Over the past couple of years with no offensive line. I mean, one may be saying, or we might be saying at the end of this college football season, Cole, that Lenoir Sellers wasted his time at South Carolina. And it feels bad to say that. It really, really does. But a guy with his potential, essentially letting Shane Beamer squander it over 4 years. He's had all the time in the world to put a good offensive line in front of him, to put a competent offensive line and an offensive coordinator with him. And it feels like, you know, there was something there between him and Dowell Loggins. We'll never know. Was it Lenoir's? Was it Dowell? Or was it the combination of the two? We just don't know. Hopefully this year, I have high hopes for Kendall Briles. I think things are going to improve dramatically this season. But what does that mean? Does that mean going from 4 wins to 6 wins to 4 wins to 7 wins? It's hard to say.
No, and look, I don't necessarily disagree with what you said there about Lenoir's, but I will push back on one thing. When you talk about squandering Lenoir Sellers from a Beamer standpoint, Beamer didn't throw interceptions last year. Beamer didn't fumble the football last year. Like, Lenoir's wasn't good last year. He just wasn't. And of course, offensive line has a ton to do with that. But I think this year the offensive line will be improved. And I don't think, like, if you ask Lenoir's, he threw for 2,500 yards in 2024, right? 18 touchdowns. He only threw for 13 touchdowns last year. Just wasn't great. 2,400 yards. 60% completion percentage, not bad there.
But you put Tom Brady back there with a team that was 131st in FBS football in sacks allowed. They gave up 43 sacks in 12 games, Cole. That is awful.
It's bad.
That is awful. There's only, 136 FBS teams? They were 131st in sacks given up. They had no run game that they thought they were going to have with Rashul Fajan coming in last year. Yeah. We thought things were going to be different, and the offensive line was just atrocious.
And I also think when you look at what happened during the middle of the season, you recognize that Beamer recognized the offensive line was bad. Lonnie Teasley gone, right? Fired. Then you go bring in Stan Drayton at running back coach, who coached Ezekiel Elliott and many other great college and pro running backs. You go get Kendall Briles, you go get the new offensive line coach whose name slips my head every time I think about it. The point is, Randy Clements, thank you. Beamer knew that things had to be done in the offseason, and unfortunately, it's Lenoir's last season, right? So you're going to have to make hay pretty quickly, and I think they can. I think Briles will be a great addition to Lenoir's development and production, but that offensive line, to your point, how can it be worse? I mean, how can that offensive line be worse than what it was last year? It possibly can't, can it?
It can't. I don't see how it can. I don't see how it could be any worse. Now, as we go, if South Carolina's improvements are as significant as we think that they are, does it put them near the tippy top of the SEC? Probably not, but it makes them considerably better than they were. Kent State and Towson will be wins no matter what. I think that means you beat Mississippi State. I think that means you are competitive on the road against Alabama. I'm not calling for a win there. But again, if the improvements are what we think they are, you beat Kentucky. You should be beating Florida with a first-year head coach in John Sumrall. You should be competitive against Tennessee, possibly beat them. But then you get into that stretch of Oklahoma, A&M, Arkansas, and then the next week, Georgia and Clemson. And the last 5 weeks of the season could be really tough for them.
4 of the last 5 are brutal.
But if the improvement is there, We'll all be able to see it with our eyes. The record may not reflect it by the end of the season, but we'll all be able to see with our eyes that things have gotten considerably better.
Well, I'll tell you this. You've gotta get while the getting's good. And we're going to get to the phone lines in just a second. You've got to get while the getting's good if you're South Carolina in that first half of the season. What I mean by that is you got to start 3-0. You got to start 3-0. And I know it's an SEC game against Mississippi State. I get that. But there's no excuse. You've got the better quarterback. You've got the better offensive quarterback. You've got no excuse. You got to win that game. Mm-hmm. And then you're going into Bama 3-0, and Bama's got a brand new quarterback, and Bama's Kalen DeBoer. I mean, he's been good. He hasn't been great. So, and by the way, Carolina's hung with Bama. I mean, they did. Yeah. It's not like they've get blown off the field. So,
didn't say this with Zac Blackerby earlier, but Alabama is as gettable as Alabama is has been since the beginning of the Nick Saban era, and they are as gettable as they will be for the foreseeable future.
And my point being, the back end, 4 of those last 5 is incredibly tough. I think that's why you have to start. If you're going to be bowl eligible and win 6, maybe 7 games, boy, you better not slip up. The margin for error is just so razor thin.
You got to be bowl eligible by October.
You do. You better. Cocky for a reason. Up first on the phone lines at 844-326-3663. If you're a Gamecock fan, we'd love to hear from you. Talking SEC. Cocky for a reason. Leading off in this 5 o'clock segment. What is on your mind, Cocky?
I agree with a lot of y'all said. Like I say, last year stunk. And like I say, and a lot of it has to do with the offensive line, Lenore's Sellers, his play. He got out of his game. That's last year. That's last year. We're talking this year. I like our schedule. I like we're backloaded. Like I said, because with the meat of our schedule, on the last 4 or 5 games, that gives our offensive line and our offense time to gel, get some confidence, and so when we do get to the big boys at the end, they're ready. Yeah. They're ready.
I don't disagree with that. I mean, if all goes well, if they play well, if they stay healthy, they hadn't been able to stay healthy. I mean, last year you had a true freshman in Shed Surratt over at tackle, and you just how many injuries were there last year, and to kind of come to the defense of Lonnie Teasley, it was just banged up. So I don't disagree with you, but you know what? The fact of the matter is, Cocky, while I don't disagree with what you're saying, it doesn't matter how gelled you are when you have to go through that stretch of Oklahoma, A&M, Georgia, and Clemson, 4 of your last 5. I mean, you've got to be ready. They're going to have dudes. You better hope you've got the dudes to go toe-to-toe with them.
That ain't no big surprise. We do that every year. I mean, it's just whether it's early in the season, late in the season, we got to.
But that stretch last year, though, you went 0-5.
That was last year.
I'm just saying. I know, but what my point to you is, you say we do this every year, but you hadn't won them. You got to win them. You know what I mean? You've got to go beat Alabama on the road.
2 years ago, we did win them. 2 years ago we did.
You won a few of them. We did. Yeah. Well, that's 2 years ago. We're talking right now.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
Cocky, thanks for the call, man.
Thanks, bud.
Tom in Somerville. I don't know why. Tom and Cocky, they must text. I mean, they must coordinate. Like, hey, let's call in back to back every day. Tom in Somerville, what's on your mind? We're talking Gamecocks.
I know about time. Now, y'all were talking about the offensive line a minute ago. First off, I just want to say I respect Cocky for a reason. He's a good guy. Now, he's been backing me up the last few days. Now, Diesel, you mentioned the offensive line was so bad last year. Well, and it was also a direct correlation to why Lenore's was awful last year. The offense last year was two-dimensional. What I mean was they either scored on the deep ball or they lost yardage. The running game was non-existent. You look at who they brought in at running back this year. The running back room this year is a lot more talented. There's a lot of unproven guys in there, but the talent of the room is better. Now, with the offensive line, they don't have to jump to the first or second best offensive line in the SEC. They just need to be somewhere, if they're somewhere between the 5th and 7th best offensive line in the SEC, that could be a difference in winning, 2 or 3 extra games that they did not win last year. So, that's why I get excited about Kendall Briles coming in, is because I think he's going to have, an offensive scheme that South Carolina fans have not seen, and creativity and explosiveness out of the offense that South Carolina fans under Shane Beamer have not seen consistently enough. And that goes back to the offensive line. If the offensive line can just take a few steps and be just a little bit better, they don't have to be perfect, but they can just be a little bit better. That can be the difference in this team,
Tom,
finishing 5-7 and 8-4.
Tom, you know who I think has the toughest job for Carolina this season?
Who?
Stan Drayton. And to your point about the running back room, I think he's got his work cut out for him. And no disrespect to the transfers and Clark and Coleman and Dixon, right? You bring guys in and you have Matt Fuller already on the roster, August Dave, and the Howell kid. But I just don't know. When I talk about 2026 South Carolina, what worries me more than anything is their ability to run the ball. Do I think the offensive line will be better with Randy Clements? I do. But I just right now, I don't know that I'm high on this running back room.
Well, I think you feel that way because there's a lot of it's a lot of guys that have not proven it yet at this level. They don't have much experience. They, especially the Coleman or the Christian Clark kid from Texas, like transferred in. I mean, he was I think a 4-star kid out of high school.
Yeah.
Same for the kid from Penn State. They just haven't been able to do it. So you don't know what you're getting out of that room.
Yeah.
But if the offensive line can take a step forward and just be a little bit better, then I believe you're going to be able to see what those guys can do. Because, I mean, you can put Herschel Walker back there. If there ain't a hole to run through, there ain't a hole to run through. And it don't matter who's the running back.
Well, the good news, Tom, is last year at TCU, Kendall Briles was fairly balanced on both. I mean, and by that, let me rephrase that, fairly productive in both phases, both passing the ball and throwing the ball. Running the ball last year, they were averaging 130 yards a game. And if you can get that at South Carolina, you take it, especially in year number 4 with Lenore Sellers, or senior year with Lenore Sellers, with this wide receiving core. Your goal is to be better at passing the football, and that's what Kendall Briles was good at last year at TCU.
Well, yeah, that's what they've always been good at. But, at the end of the day, you just got to let Lenore's be Lenore's. He was bubble wrapped all last year. You can go back and rewatch the games if you're that dreadful enough that you want to. If you go back and watch it, you can see he's being bubble wrapped. You got to cut it loose. You got to let him go be himself, whether that's running the ball 15, 20 times a game, whatever you got to do to keep the ball in his hand, one of your best playmakers, you got to do it. If he gets hurt, oh well. You at least got hurt trying to make a play, because I can't watch this team again just allow him to stay in the pocket and not use his legs. Against Virginia Tech last year, open and drive, we looked like we were going to win the national championship.
Yeah.
And we all know what happened.
Well, one thing that scares me, Tom, is if the first 8 weeks of the season don't go the way South Carolina wants it to go for whatever reason. What scares me is Lenore Sellers shutting it down for the last couple of weeks, and that's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt to have a guy that'll do that to you. Now, obviously, it gives you the opportunity to get a little bit of an earlier start with Cutter Woods as QB1 and give him some reps later on in the season. That's throwing him into the fire. That's a tough thing to do to a kid, but with Lenore sticking around for 4 years, I'm not predicting it that if the season goes wrong, he shuts himself down, but it would be painful for a Gamecock fan if he did.
Well, my pushback to that would be if things go wrong in the first 8, what's it matter? What do you have to lose?
If the things go wrong in the first 8, 90% of the team's probably going in the portal anyway. So it really don't matter at that point.
Tom, are they 3-0 or are they 2-1 going into Alabama?
They'll be 3-0.
I think so.
And first 2 weeks they'll be high scoring. They'll score a bunch of points. won out against Mississippi State. And I want to say this real quick about Mississippi State. They have one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the SEC, and he's not getting enough preseason love. Kamario Taylor is an absolute dude, and I think Mississippi State's going to be a little bit better than they're getting credit for this year.
Well, if
Good
you're a
enough to beat
Gamecock,
South Carolina?
I was going to say, you hope not.
Well, just don't be good week 3. You can be good any other week.
That's good. Tom, you're the best. Thanks, man.
Good stuff.
Go
Tom
Gamecock.
in Somerville getting in on the game. He's passionate, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Don't you wish he was just a little bit more passionate?
Yeah.
Tell us how you really feel, Tom.
A little less shy, too,
Yeah,
Tom.
yeah.
Could you come out of your shell just a little bit? Cole, earlier today, you had the opportunity to catch up with Jack Veltri of Gamecock Central, who is live at SEC Media Days. We'll talk to Jack on the other side of the break next.
once, but twice today, going down to Tampa, Florida, live at SEC Media Days. We're joined by Jack Veltri, Gamecock Central, to talk Gamecocks, other SEC news from today. Jack, you didn't have to hear Greg Sankey this morning, or did you get to hear him yesterday? I mean, it was a snooze fest. Was today better just because Greg didn't speak?
Yeah, I mean, I got into town. I got into town yesterday afternoon, going into the evening. So I was not here for Sankey yesterday, but I did hear some of his comments, and he had a lot to say. Obviously, I think a lot of people would say a lot of nothing, but I guess that's how it goes when you're the commissioner. But yeah, off to a good start with day 2 here so far. We've heard from Kirby Smart, Alex Golish, and then obviously this afternoon we'll hear from Clark Lee and Shane Beamer. So looking forward to what the rest of this day has for us out here in Tampa.
Jack, let's talk about South Carolina. Shane Beamer went deep into the portal for offensive linemen. Obviously a big need there. Carter Miller out of UCF and a few others. But a majority of the skill players, are Garnet and Black through and through. How do you explain the disparity there? Does it simply come down to Beamer having trust in what he had and feeling as if he needed to go to the offensive line? Did he talk about that at all today in terms of the newcomers?
Based on what they did with the roster, look, it was clear the offensive line needed an overhaul. You give up 43 sacks last year. Lenore Sellers was sacked more than any quarterback in the SEC a season ago. You got to protect him. And look, you brought him back for another season when he definitely could have left, gone elsewhere, maybe turned pro. I mean, he didn't have the best season last year, but I think a lot of that did have to do with the offensive line. So you bring in a ton of newcomers. A lot of players leave the program. This was the position you needed to overhaul, and you did that. And then look, as far as returning pieces go, I think they know there are a lot of talented players on this roster. Last year, maybe not indicative of what this team can be and what they can do, because from a talent standpoint, they had talent last year. It just didn't work out. Things went wrong for a variety of reasons. But no doubt, the offensive line was the position that, look, you're bringing in a new offensive coordinator, same quarterback, new playmakers, same old playmakers in some areas. You have to upgrade that offensive line, because if you don't have a good offensive line, it's going to be tough to succeed on offense.
Talking to Jack Veltri, Gamecock Central. He's live in Tampa, Florida at SEC Media Days. Zooming out real quick, going SEC big picture, and then we'll get back to the Gamecocks in just a few minutes, Jack. What else have been your biggest takeaways from those that have spoke this morning? You mentioned a few of those coaches that have. Anything stand out to you? I know yesterday it was Will Stein talking about the reason Kentucky could be better is because of him, dropping a little truth bomb there. What stood out to you in terms of what coaches or players have said thus far in day 2?
Yeah, nothing as crazy as yesterday with that comment from Will Stein and Josh Heupel subtly, jokingly calling out Lane Kiffin with that trip down for LSU to Knoxville in November this year with Tennessee. So, I mean, nothing like to that extent. But, yeah, it's, Kirby Smart, you expect nothing less with him, always very, stoic. When he's at the podium, you stop what you're doing and listen. And that's exactly, what you come to expect. And then with Alex Golish, I saw a comment, I was doing radio at the time, but I saw a tweet with a quote that said that Auburn is, quote, going to run the piss out of the football this year. That's what Golish said. So, look, I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see what this Auburn team is like with Golish, because I think the expectations for him being a first-year coach are definitely different than some of these other places like Kentucky and maybe like Florida and LSU are on the same wavelength in terms of Auburn, because I think those fans want to win right away. Like, they expect, look, Auburn football can be good, just need the right leader in place, need the right players. And, yeah, if Golish can get off to this is a very big season for him, to where I think he's going to need to get to a bowl game and maybe a little bit then some after that to really have a good start to his tenure.
It's interesting you bring up Golish there, Jack, and I know feel and vibes don't equate to wins on the field, but you've been around, different SEC programs now, and we've seen Auburn fail in the past few hires at head coach. Does it feel different hearing Golish and hearing the players and the vibes surrounding Auburn at SEC Media Days?
Yeah, from the little bit that I've got, again, I haven't had the chance to be all around Auburn and Georgia today so far, because I've had other things going on from a work South Carolina standpoint. But I will say, I think something does feel different with Golesh. I think Auburn got the guy that they wanted because I think the rumor or the rumor was that Golesh was going to go to Arkansas, if I'm not mistaken, originally. And that ended up falling through. So yeah, for Golesh to come to Auburn, they got some talent there. A lot of USF transfers. I don't know what the expectation necessarily is for year one, but I feel like if for Auburn, you get to a bowl game, you pick up some nice wins along the way. Maybe you do well against Alabama at the end of the year. You feel pretty good about that season. Like, I think the main objective this year for Auburn, get to a bowl game and then go from there, because year one with USF players, who knows how that transition is going to go. And then by year two, you could start bringing in some more
easy
SEC
place to
talent,
recruit to because
maybe
we
build
have the
around
greatest
some of the
fans
USF
in
guys that
all
have
of the
multiple
world.
years of
And I know
eligibility,
every
and then go
coach
from
in
there.
the SEC.
Jack, back to
feels
South
that
Carolina
way,
for a
but I
minute.
am so
What's your
driven to
face
bring
level? The
a championship
offensive
to
line will be
Columbia
different under
because of
Randy
our fans.
Clements in year
Easy
one.
place to recruit to because we have the
Tough to
greatest
say without
fans
really
in
like
all
seeing
of
this
the world.
team
And
in
I know
action
every coach in
a
the
game.
SEC feels that way,
Based on what
but
we
I
know,
am so driven to bring a championship to Columbia because of our fans.
Last year,
The easy
you
place
give
to
someone
recruit to
sacked
because
last
we
year,
have the greatest
Lonnie
fans
Beasley
in
gets fired.
all of the
I
world.
think
And I know every coach in the SEC
line
feels that
coach
way, but I am so
helped them out
driven
as
to
well.
bring a championship to Columbia because of our
back in
fans.
09.
The easy
Like,
place to recruit
you
to
have
because we have the
yourself
greatest
set for
fans
success
in
with those two
all
coaches.
of the world.
At the end of the
And
day,
I know
it's
every
just,
coach
okay,
in the SEC
what are you getting out
feels
of
that way,
personnel?
but I am so driven to
How
bring
you guys
a
that
championship
stuck
to
around, like
Columbia
I said,
because of our fans. The easy place to recruit to because we have the greatest
It's going to be a
fans in
different looking
all of the
offensive
world.
line based
And I
on
know every
faces.
coach.
The question is, can they come together, one, and be good as a group, but two, can they just be substantially better? Can they protect Sellers for more than a few seconds? Can they give him time to run this offense? Because like I said before, Cole, if you're not able to have enough protection up front, it's gonna hurt the rest of the offense. Like, what the offensive line does really could dictate how things go offensively for the flow of this group when it's in the run game or Sellers making decisions in the pocket. Like, the offensive line, I think, will be better this year. How much better? It's to be determined.
It's interesting because he was one of the three that were brought in, Jack, with Stan Drayton and Kendall Briles. And I think whether it's fair or not, the three of those coaches are going to be judged pretty quickly. Of the three new guys that are starting to get their feet wet with this program, Briles, Drayton, and we just talked about offensive line there, which of the three coaches do you think will look like the best hire the quickest, if that makes sense?
The quickest, I think it's going to be Briles.
Okay.
I think this was the biggest hire. This could be the hire that, look, there's no denying it. The elephant in the room. Shane Beamer has a lot of pressure this season. And I think for South Carolina to have success, this offense needs to really be good this year. And so I think you could view the Kendall Briles hire as the one that maybe saves Shane Beamer's job to some degree, right? So it's going to be really critical from that standpoint. So I think Briles, is the guy that calls the plays on this offense, could definitely have the biggest impact long term. I'll honestly say I think Stan Drayton's going to do some really good work with this running back room. I like what he's about. He's got a lot of experience coaching. He's coached really good running backs over the years. Maybe not this season. We'll see. But I think in a few years, if he's here at South Carolina for the foreseeable future, I think he's going to do a really nice job with that running back room. I'm interested to see what he does with this group that they have right now.
Jack, Beamer brought Harbor, Lenoris, and Peyton Williams to Tampa, where you're at right now for SEC Media Days. We know about Nick Harbor. We know about Lenoris Sellers. Talk about Peyton Williams, a name that might not be as popular. Why should Gamecock fans be excited about that name heading into the season?
Yeah, he's a guy that has kind of waited his turn for a little bit to where he was 2 years ago, really got a chance to play against Vanderbilt and had a nice game, but that was like the one glimpse in 24 of what he could do when they had a few guys injured and out. And then last year played a good bit, but again, he was kind of behind like a guy like D.Q. Smith a little bit. So I think the expectation this year is, one, he's going to be a starter for you on defense, and he's a veteran guy who's been with the program for multiple years. It should say a lot that Shane Beamer brought him out here to Tampa, because he typically likes to reward the guys that have been with the program for years and years, and Peyton Williams is a redshirt senior, definitely fits that mold. So a guy's been here for a while. He's waited his turn. He's had a few moments to make an opportunity for himself the last 2 years. I'm really looking to see if he can blossom and really continue the trend of Torian Gray defensive backs that have just been really good out there in the secondary.
From a Nick Harbor standpoint, how does he, this is a real simple pointed question, how does he get off to a faster start in 2026, Jack?
Oh, I think for one, you got to create more separation. I think that's the big thing is there were moments last year, right? He can run the vertical routes better than anyone, right? His speed, he'll beat you all day in a one-on-one situation if you're running just a straight route. It's the slants and the other types of routes that you're running where can he create enough separation in that way to get more open? And I think the other part of it is, Cole, for me, it really does all go back to this offensive line to where if there's enough protection, if there's enough time for Lenoris to throw, look, Lenoris is going to need a top target to go to this year. Tight end feels a little bit unproven with, I mean, look, 2 years ago, Josh Simon was that guy. And the last year and a half, I really don't feel like Lenoris has had that tight end to throw to in that room. You need a top receiver. I think Nick Harbor in his senior year here could definitely blossom.
Talking to Jack Veltri, Gamecock Central, right here on the Fan Upstate. He is in Tampa. You can hear that Tampa wind swirling. Jack, you're not getting away from with a tornado, are you? How's the weather down there?
Oh, it's beautiful. It's a little hot, humidity, but it's like 85 degrees today. It's pretty sunny outside. The hotel is right on the water where they're having media days, so it's a very cool view. It's nice to be out here for sure.
Jack, let me ask you about this SEC breakaway conversation that seems to be brought back up. You know, Greg Sankey didn't go into great detail about it yesterday, but it was kind of brought up a little bit. I know that a lot of people are exhausted by it, but is there any merit to the concept from a school's perspective who is inside the SEC, like a South Carolina?
Sorry, can you repeat that one more time? I just couldn't hear you there.
Yeah, no, you're good. From a school like South Carolina's perspective that's in the SEC, when you talk about this conversation, Jack, with the SEC potentially breaking away from the NCAA and being completely separate, what's the vibe? Is there any merit to that concept for a school like South Carolina who's in the SEC?
Yeah, it's interesting to hear Sankey bring it up and then Kirby Smart kind of back that point up of those conversations are real, for multiple years now of like the SEC potentially breaking away. It's not something I could see happening right now, but if the landscape of college football and college athletics continues to go in this direction where it's the SEC just feels like they need to break away, I think they could definitely do it. I think it's possible. There's a lot of different things that have to probably happen after that. You have 16 teams right now. I think you would probably need to have a few more come in to make it feel like its own separate, entity and not just a conference that's breaking away and that's it. Because I don't know. There's a lot of moving pieces with it. In a couple of years, I could see it potentially happening, but it's interesting to hear it brought up here at SEC Media Days for sure.
Jack, this morning you mentioned Kirby Smart led things off at SEC Media Days. He had Drew Bobo, Gunnar Stockton, and Raylan Wilson there, offensive lineman, quarterback, and linebacker. Gunnar Stockton, a guy that's been in that system. When you look at this Georgia team, you'll hear from South Carolina. We played audio back in the first segment from what Beamer had to say. Where do you think Lenoris Sellers ranks among the SEC's best quarterback signal callers when it comes to guys like Gunnar Stockton and other returning quarterbacks out there, even a John Mateer? Where in your mind does Lenoris rank toward that top of that list?
I would say right now, put me on the spot, I'd say maybe upper half of the league, maybe barely outside the top five. And I think there's a few reasons for that. Number one, he's as experienced as any quarterback in this conference. This will be his third year as a starter at South Carolina. He's been with the program since 23, so he's been here for a while. He's had some success too. We saw what he did in 24, where he really came into his own kind of towards the end of the year. And then last year was a bit of a drop off to where I think there were a lot of reasons why things didn't go well for him. I think the play calling just wasn't very good. The protection he got front was abysmal. But at the same time, I think Lenoris also played a part in why he struggled, because I think some of his decision making wasn't the best. Like sometimes you gotta just know when to get rid of the ball, and you don't always have to be Superman, right? You have other guys in this offense that can help you out. Potentially now with Bryles, with upgrades, seemingly upgrades made to this offense once where you overhauled it. You got Harbor back. You added more pieces in the running back room. Hopefully it's to a point where like he doesn't feel like he has to do it all by himself, to where he can trust those guys around him. So yeah, I think coming into the year, he may not be as widely regarded as he was coming into last year at media days where he was a Heisman hopeful. I think he's going to fly a little under the radar this year, and I think that leads to some success for him.
Jack, as we let you go, the most important question, how's the spread? How's the food? Best thing you've eaten so far in Tampa?
I just ate lunch before you called, so they had a little bit of some sort of steak. They had some chicken.
Ooh.
I just saw, right as I was leaving out when you called, they have a little bit of dessert set up to where they have like little slices of key lime pie. So I might have to get in on that after I'm done on this call. But no, the food's been great here. The hospitality's been awesome. The SEC always does a great job with these events. So, you know, I know it's a long drive getting down here to Tampa and flights for everybody, but it's definitely a fun time out here so far.
Well, Jack, thanks for joining us live from Tampa. We appreciate your insight. We'll talk to you again soon, and safe travels.
All right. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you.
Diesel, earlier in the show, you and I talked about ESPN layoffs. There were some significant, and I mean significant layoffs at ESPN today, over the past couple of days. You mentioned, was it Carl Ravitch? Is that right?
Yep.
He was one of the big names.
Ryan Clark.
Cam
Newton.
Tom Pelissero. I think there were others, but those are just some big names and, really big names. I wanted to get to this tweet, though.
Charles Davis as well. Bart
Davis.
Scott.
Who's that? Bart Scott?
Bart Scott is an NFL analyst.
Yeah, he was on the morning shows a lot. Bart Scott was. I do remember him being on there in recent days.
Charles Davis is a broadcaster. It just says just lists him as a broadcaster.
I don't know that name off the top of my head.
I recognize his face.
Yeah.
I know I've seen him on there, but I couldn't tell you what exactly.
Yeah.
He was with the NFL Network.
Okay. Well, look, layoffs are tough, and it doesn't matter how much you're making. I don't, celebrate somebody getting laid off. But one tweet I wanted to get to that's gotten 3.5 million views today, Diesel, on X, from Dave Portnoy of Barstool. This is an interesting conversation when you look at how, like, an independent media companies run versus a company like ESPN. So when the New York Post tweeted out that Carl Ravitch was expected to be let go by ESPN after 33 years, Diesel, Dave Portnoy quoted the tweet, and the tweet read, "Another glaring difference between ESPN and Barstool. When our stars become huge and command tons of money like McAfee at ESPN, we part ways rather than fire people who have been with us for decades to pay the one star. Loyalty matters here. At ESPN, there is no such thing. Not saying our way is right, but just more family versus corporate." And I do think the two business models are really unique in the sense of, to Dave's point, every time somebody at Barstool's gotten kind of near the top, they part ways. And that person goes out on their own, or they go to this network. ESPN, obviously a very different business model, but I can tell you this. I understand both business models. I understand that both can end messy if they're not delicate. But at the end of the day, I do want to work for someone who cares about me and loyalty to the company. 33 years for Carl Ravitch and just gone today. I mean, that's tough, man. It's been there a long time, that company.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. ESPN doesn't want to see its stars go somewhere else, right? I mean, ESPN would be devastated if Pat McAfee took his show to Fox Sports, or if Stephen A. Smith took his show somewhere else. It would be devastating to them because that's where a lot of their advertising dollars come from. That's where a lot of their eyeballs come from. It is unfortunate. They feel like they have to pay these guys more money. Part of that is the reason why your ESPN component of your cable package, if you still have cable, or if you have the Hulu, Disney, ESPN bundle, they're the reason why it keeps getting more expensive. Part of the reason, not all of it, but part of the reason. It is an unfortunate, Cole, and I see this in radio. We see it all the time. I mean, God, like 3 weeks ago, there was like 1,000 people who got fired from our main competitors in iHeart. How much farther can they go? That's the big question. It feels like iHeart lets people go at a rate of 1,000 people every 2 or 3 years. And how is there anyone left? How is there anyone left at ESPN? I mean, look, they're putting on what I think are still some quality shows, not all of them as good as others. That requires research staff. That requires producers. That requires a lot of people. Mm-hmm. How do you have the people left to create something at a high level before it gets to that tipping point of, we can save some money by letting people go, but it also affects the quality of our shows because we just don't have the staff that we're able to do the job that people loved.
Hey, real quick, Luke was on Paul Feinbaum's show
yesterday of saying, hey,
whoa,
half the SEC coaches didn't get fired last year. Maybe he's not even talked about on the hot seat, which I
How about
think is a
that?
fair point.
Jordan Kay of the state newspaper, who we just had on yesterday. Right?
He's big deal, man. We might not be able to get him on anymore.
I'm telling you,
he's on with Paul.
How about our boy Jordan Kay on with Paul Feinbaum live right now? I just looked up at the TV and saw that. So, that's Jordan Kay. That's awesome.
I'm surprised Jordan doesn't reach over and pull a quarter out of Paul's ear.
Yeah.
Or I guess for him it'd be a Frisbee.
But no, to your point, it's a tough business we're in. I mean, It is media business, radio, especially local radio. I would say is even tougher than any other medium because of podcasting and all these other things. You just don't see many local radio stations around anymore. The small ones, They closed the doors. So the layoffs happen, and you're right. iHeart, like, you hate to see it. Doesn't matter if they're a competitor or not. It sucks for people who are relying on it as their income. And the reality is it could happen here. It could happen here tomorrow. You just never know. And for those that did get laid off at ESPN, I hate it. I don't feel as bad when you're making millions of dollars. Hopefully you've invested your money the right way.
Ryan Clark still got bills to pay. He's still got a mortgage to pay. Carl Ravitch has got a mortgage to pay. He's got cars to pay for. He's probably got kids or kids in college, right? It's a tough time. This idea that just because you're rich, you somehow found a way to bank $10 million and you're going to be okay.
But if you're making, like Ryan Clark, making more than $2 million a year, I hope he doesn't have a mortgage to pay.
I hope. But think about NFL players. NFL players are making, $5, $10, $15, $30 million a year. They leave the league as soon as those paychecks dry up. Boom, they go broke.
Sad.
Because they had to learn how to manage the money, and it's hard. I mean, like I said, everybody's got bills to pay.
Ryan Clark made $23 million in the NFL.
Ooh.
If he's still paying a mortgage, that dude's got money issues. I'm just saying. But it is interesting.
I'm just curious, what was his salary at ESPN?
Just over $2 million.
$2 million a year.
Yep.
Yeah, you got to be smart with that money, man. Save it. Hey, Tolos, earlier in the show, we jumped into SEC Media Day talks. We had some conversation around Kirby Smart and Georgia, whether or not he's relevant to college football. I mean, good God, Paul Feinbaum. We talked a little bit of Vandy, South Carolina, and Auburn as well. We'll jump into day number 2 of SEC Media Days next.